philosophical essay topics, their meaning, you don't have to bother about it, Aarti, because we'll be doing it little later. First and foremost, we were stuck yesterday with respect to word bank, right? We were about to start with our insights pertaining to word bank. So as we are discussing about the segment pertaining to the word bank, we need to reflect upon a lot of, we can say, perspectives which will be building our approach. So word bank, when I say, I've seen students, they get into the habit of, like, on an average, this is what I have noticed, that students, they get into the habit of consolidating the words. Like, they will take a word in isolation and they'll try to memorize it, or they'll write the word, whatever the word is, and the meaning of it, and they'll try to memorize it. Most of the students have this tendency when they are memorizing the word bank. But is this the standard approach that should have been followed? I will suggest no. If you're following this kind of approach, this is not the standard approach when we speak of it. With respect to word bank, when we are like reflecting upon the same, we all need to understand that word bank makes greater sense when you are like trying to memorize it in a set. When you are memorizing word sets, okay, then the capability to reproduce it is sharper and faster. Okay, so that is something which we all can understand. No problem, Anushka, you can always revisit the session. Okay, so when we are talking about the word bank, like, let me give you certain examples and that will make greater meaning for, or conceptual clarity for all of you. Like, let us consider, if I'm saying democracy. So democracy, it's easy to remember democracy and it is a part of your thought process. Now, if I say fledgling democracy, now this is something like curiosity driven. Fledgling democracy, what is this? So fledgling is basically a little baby, a baby of an animal or a bird. Not every animal or every bird's baby is called a fledgling. So you can consider a fledgling is associated with a baby. So fledgling democracy is what? Democracy in its early stage, okay, in its basic stage, in its, we can say, nascent stage. So post independence, the initial 10-20 years, you can use the term that as a fledgling democracy, India tried to assert its global presence with non-aligned movement, with its policy towards nuclear technology, okay, or nuclear energy. Okay, so when you are talking about this term, it like makes greater state sense. Okay, no, it's not larvae stage, Niranjan. Okay, so yes, good. You are memorizing it with sentence, Kavna. That's again a very healthy way to remember the statement. So, or the vocabulary. So fledgling democracy. Think about it. I can use it as like negotiable democracy. Is democracy negotiable? So negotiable democracy, decentralized democracy. See this? The moment I am adding a adjective, the word is becoming more rich. Okay, see this? Or I can say crucified democracy, if someone is killing the essence of democracy. So crucified democracy, right? Yes, when we are talking about it. So yes, inexperienced human. Okay, so such words, if you're memorizing word sets, it's easy to reproduce, it is easy to remember. Try to make a list of such words. Okay, some words which you must have seen in your notes or in your books, like unforeseen consequences, right? Unforeseen consequences, right? For those students who, for whom it's new, it will be great if you use it. Okay, and those students who know it, that's great that you are aware of this word and you are capable to use it, right? Think about other words also, like words like quantum jump. Quantum jump, right? um, so quantum jump of the economy, quantum jump in your preparation, anything which is taking a sudden leap. Then you can think of congenial atmosphere. Congenial atmosphere, what is this congenial atmosphere associated with? Yes, quantum leap also you can write down. Yes, so when we are talking about congenial atmosphere, a pleasing atmosphere, yes, a friendly atmosphere where you can work, where you can grow, right? So you can think of that given possibility. Again, dwindling resources, see this, dwindling resources. You can think of words like cutting edge technology or state of art technology. So cutting edge or state of art technology. Similarly, this term, which I don't know how many of you are aware of it. So a term like judicious exploitation, judicious exploitation. Reflect upon this, judicious exploitation, right? Along with this judicious exploitation, we can also think of burgeoning population. Okay, burgeoning population, right? Along with that, you can think of shared prosperity. Shared prosperity. See, simple like expressions, and you can find these expressions once in a while in news articles. You can find these expressions in NCRT, right? So pick them. This is what can be suggested. Pick them, put it to good use in your answer. That is something which is advisable. Okay. So optimization techniques, optimization. Optimization techniques. You can think of intellectual capital, intellectual capital. You can think of people's wisdom, something which people hardly use in their answers. Everyone considers masses are duffers. It's not so. When you incorporate people's wisdom, the efficacy of a policy being implemented becomes much more sharper. Okay. Further, you can also think of lucrative opportunity, lucrative opportunity, right? All pervasive, all pervasive, right? You can think of words like myopic vision in terms of development. You can use if someone is only focusing on like exploiting the resources without seeing the repercussion that environment can hold in future. So that's what myopic vision. Or if a question is very important, you can think of baffling, right? Baffling question. Or you can also talk about like vibrant economy. You can talk about half baked notions, half baked notions, ad hoc implementation, ad hoc implementation, right? Renewed vigor, unceasing endeavor, right? You can consider what else? In which context can we use panacea? Panacea to all problems. Panacea is like Ramban, a medicine which can help in curing all types of diseases. So that's what. So panacea to all problems is a standard expression many a times. Yes, collective accountability, precarious livelihoods. Very good. I appreciate all those students who are also able to create. Okay, systematic approach, unceasing endeavor. So all these words which you can see that. Okay, collective consciousness, wanton distraction. Okay, so you can always, I think, you can create a list of such words. And what is the standard procedure that you should follow? Yes, capacity building, conscious endeavor, natural justice. Very good, very good. So, what I would appreciate if you are preparing your answers, any GS subject that you are studying, try to follow a specific method. Like, just a second, like first and foremost, always paste the syllabus. This is how ideally a student should make notes. paste the syllabus of that subject that is being taught. Suppose it is ethics, so paste the ethics syllabus, the graded detailed syllabus in one page as you start preparing notes. Okay. And after pasting the syllabus, then make an index card. An index card associated with it can be of one page, second side, third side, whatever. So in that, what you can do is you can bifurcate this approach. Okay. And you can make R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. In this manner, you should make 5 columns for revision to micromanage how you are revising the content. So topic, whatever is the chapter, page number, and the we can say sets of revision. This is what you should do that. Okay. This way you will be able to take charge of how many chapters you have written, how many notes, like how much notes is there. Then suppose there is the lecture and the notes that you are doing. So what is ideally prescribed? See, mostly like since childhood we have been leaving these two margins. That's perfectly fine. What I advise is either leave this margin, okay, or leave this margin. But please do leave a margin. Okay, either this or this. Why? So that in future, if you are reading something new, any new aspect, suppose you want to paste, you can paste it, you have the space. Suppose you want to just note down 2 or 3 points, you should have the space to write it down. So do not write from top to bottom. Don't like fill the from head to toe of the page. Don't do that. Always leave some breathable space on the margin and leave either of the margin, either bottom or the side. Okay, that is something which is required. Sticky notes, yes, but sticky notes, if you are preparing within a year, then sticky notes will be helpful. But just in case, suppose you get selected till mains and then you go for interview, and suppose it does not happen, or suppose it's a lower rank and you want to go for rank revision, and what if the sticky notes start falling? Okay, if it starts dropping down. So that's why I always prefer that things are written here, else it is stapled and pasted in a foolproof manner so that things don't fall off later. Okay, again, after this, suppose you have done the notes, then next step is always solve PYQs, at least like 2 PYQs per topic, not chapter, per topic in a chapter. That means there are various chapters. Okay, so I mean, and every chapter can have various subtopics. Okay, so various subtopics are there, various subtopics. So try to cover every subtopic, at least 1 to 2 question, at least. Preferable is 2, because then you have a better grip over the chapter. So PYQs. After that, you should go ahead with word bank. Every subject, irrespective of which subject you are preparing, whether it is geography or it is economics, it is social issues or it is history, every subject has the capability to nourish your word bank. That's why when people say, ma'am, what should I do for essay? I'm like, prepare GS properly. Essay will automatically start getting prepared, because while preparing GS, you have a lot of time and a lot of subjects. So you're getting exposed to an array of words. But are you encapsulating those words in your own vocabulary? No, not really. And that's why the capability to understand the word is there, but the capability to reproduce the word is not there. And it is very different from knowing a word to capability to use it, the word being a part of your vocabulary. Knowing a word does not mean it is a part of your expression. And that is possible only when chapter after chapter, when you are writing the list of words down. Okay, so you keep enlisting the words down, the new words you learnt. They can be technical words, they can be regular expressions. You can find it in NCERT. And please remember, it's not only the technical words that I imply. Sometimes there are some wholesome expression whereby some phrasal expression or some term is like really impressive. Note it down. After word bank, you should make sentence bank. All the beautiful, wholesome, marvelous sentences of that chapter, which are kind of theoretical, philosophical, which hold a world of wisdom, it is advisable, go ahead with this. See, I would suggest, like when you are asking notes should be made in sheets or register, I will always advise A4 size page. You don't waste the pages, and you know every time when you have to add it. So if the notes is getting bulked up, you can organize it better. In a register, what happens is there is a delimitation to what you can add. I remember there was some student who was a beginner student in offline batch. He came, showed me the current affairs copy, and in the same copy there was gist of economic topic also, political issues also, IR also, social issues also I saw. And for past 1 month the child was doing. I was like, this is a great effort, but how are you going to reproduce it in mains? Like, ma'am, I'm like, will you be day by day you are segregating, but you're not segregating it in independent set of pages whereby a list of pages are related to political day after day, a list of pages related to environmental, scientific. If it is not segregated, classified into various subcategories, how will you reproduce it? I mean, it's a mixed bag. And in this mixture, how are you going to extract when it needs to be reflected upon or reproduced? The child was lost. Because the child felt 1 month of hard work all lost. Was like, ma'am, what to do now? I was like, nothing. Just do a photocopy, cut it wherever it is needed, and segregate the information as per the subjects. That's how you can preserve it. That's the only way to preserve it if you really want to keep it in action. Okay. So that is something which all of you need to do that. Okay. So after this, how about making gist in the word of laptop? Yeah, I mean, you can prepare a gist even in the laptop. That's perfectly fine. The only thing is that in laptop you're typing, but in the exam you need writing practice. So any day the old school method of writing will increase your writing speed. Okay, I know that till the time the examination is not shifting to an online mode, till that time, till the time it is an offline mode exam, a very fast speed of typing is not really going to help. Okay. So it is always advisable that when you are making word bank and sentence bank or notes, like or PYQs, try to do it with hand. And you'll learn that your writing speed is super slow. And then you will learn that you have to speed up. And then you'll learn that how to maintain balance between handwriting and expression. So all these learnings or pieces of learnings need to dawn upon you so that you understand where you are standing in the challenge. Yes, we'll be talking about the connectors today also, Abhishek. So you'll see that. Good that you are using connectors. Okay, again, with respect to this, after word bank and sentence bank, then if there is a space for current affairs, because history doesn't have that space, but current affairs can be associated with social issues, geography, polity, governance, IR, economy, disaster management, science and technology, even few issues related to ethical concerns as well. So all of it can be incorporated over here with respect to, we can say, current affairs. Okay, so that can be consolidated, and that's how you can update your material accordingly. Fine. So this is something which is advisable. Okay, maintain this approach, your notes will be very well organized. Suppose you have written in your topic, like in page number, you have written page number 1 to page number 35, and suppose something in the notes has increased and the notes is getting over by page number 16, you'll be like, ma'am, how to add more notes if I have to add more pages in the material which I found somewhere relevant? Make page number 16a, 16b, 16c, 16d, keep adding. So you can always keep adding, and the organization of material will not be lost. Okay. Again, with respect to the same, like suppose you increase the number of sentences. Okay. Both the sides of the sheet has been consumed. And you're like, now what to do? No problem. If let us consider if this is page number 20. So in that, you can always put 20A, 20B, 20C like that. Okay. So keep adding like the segments associated with this. This way, your material will be well organized, and chapter after chapter, GS paper after GS paper, when your vocabulary grows profound, it is going to impact the component of essay quite, I would say, meaningfully. All right. How many like revisions are required? Five revisions, Dheeraj, is required. Okay. When we speak of revision, this I had shared in the ethics class also. First revision is 24 hours, within 24 hours, revision 1. Second revision is within 48 hours. So second revision, you will see that you are cutting down on a lot of details. You are seeing a keyword, you are able to memorize the detail of it. Whenever you are getting stuck that, oh, this keyword, I cannot recall the detail, then you are reading the details of it. So it cuts down the unnecessary reading. Then comes the third reading. So with respect to third reading, you can consider it is within a week. After a 1 week, revision 3. Then in your schedule, have after 15 days, completion of 15 days, revision 4. And then after 30 days, there should be revision 5. Only when you revisit and revision, visualize, conceptualize, think, reflect upon a topic 5 times, that it stays with you with critical analysis. And that's how you connect one topic with another topic, another chapter, another subject. That interdisciplinary understanding gets built. It won't happen in first or second or third revision, but by the time you're doing fourth or fifth, things will start making sense. You'll start understanding the larger picture of existence, what's happening and why is it happening, and how to proceed further ahead. Okay, so no problem, Sai. Towards the beginning, everyone feels lost and everyone feels that I don't know anything. No one was born with wisdom. Wisdom is something which people acquired after synthesizing all the knowledge they were exposed to. Okay, so what you're feeling is very natural. Working towards it will create a breakthrough for you. So I hope all of you are understanding this given segment. So notes has already been prepared. Great. So just organize it in this manner and just keep adding and updating it. This is what can be said. All right. So in sentence bank, which type of sentence we have to write? Okay, write is WRITE, first. Second thing, you have to incorporate sentences which are wholesome, reflective. Like in NCERT, I had read a sentence which was associated with secularism. That secularism is not just separating the religion from state, rather, it is a quest for equality, justice, and peace for all. See this sentence? So wholesome. Can be written in any answer related to secularism, whether asked in GS paper 1 or GS paper 2, in social issues or polity. You can always start the introduction or end it with this kind of sentence. So these kind of sentences which you feel that, oh, they are very wholesome, very reflective, loaded with some critical analysis or deep thinking, some reflective thinking, try to enlist such sentences, which is different from notes, typical notes, bullet points, which is different from the regular like we can say reflection or take on the subject. All right, so that is what is needed. Do notes need to be prepared for each topic of the syllabus? The most important topics, yes. The relatively lesser topics, you can extract the material from internet or other source. You can copy paste it, like you can just take some pages or photocopies or some notes. You can punch it, you can staple it, you can underline the keywords, you can just make some gist points. That will be more than enough on miscellaneous topics. Ambesh, if we read 30 pages in the first reading, how much time will it take to learn? Depends, Divya. It is like, what is the nature of the content? And if the content is too dense, then 30 pages can take something around 3.5 hours. If it is a relatively okay content, it will take barely 3 hours. If it is an easy content, you can finish it in 2.5 hours. So it depends on the nature of content. All right. So yes, that's what, irrespective of the subject, whether history or polity or whatever. So how to improve on wholesome sentences? Practice. Practice is the key. The more you practice, you learn that I would have written it like this, but this is how this information should have been written. So you see the gaps associated with your expression and grammar. That's how it works, Santosh. Fine. So word bank, everyone is getting a brief idea related to it. I hope all of you are getting some kind of clarity regarding the word bank, right? In terms of sentence bank, when we are discussing about it, again, in the domain of, we can say, sentence bank, we need to create a list of insights which would help us to reflect deeper, reflect in a more profound manner. So how to create a content which is helping us to think about a given content in a more, we can say, exhaustive manner, and or it facilitates the possibility of writing some insightful possibilities related to what is, we can say, is enlisted. So I would be suggesting, with respect to this given area, that you can always try to understand that what kind of list of, we can say, sentences can be reproduced. Okay, so in this given dimension, I can probably assist or advise you that certain sentences can be taken up, okay, with respect to this given area. So in this, what can be like created in sentence bank, probably I can just give you certain insights related to it. Because when you prepare a list of profound sentences, what I personally feel is that a student is able to create a lot of possibilities in terms of sentences, what can be like consolidated or written. So let's consider um, the dimension is environment. So with respect to environment, suppose you write that um, biodiversity biodiversity as a litmus indicator of the health of the environment. Dot dot dot. Or the anthropogenic impact on our environment. Dot dot dot. Like the unprecedented occurrences unprecedented occurrences in our ecosystem. Dot dot dot. Or like let us consider something like biodiversity, or rather wait, preservation, stimulation, and um, what is word bank? Please tell me, today I'm late in class. This is word bank. Just go through it, Gayu, later. Okay, so you'll just get to know what is word bank. So with respect to this, when we are talking about it, yes, with respect to this, preservation, stimulation, and conservation or safeguarding. Preservation, conservation are one and the same, okay, of our ecosystem. Okay. So basically, what I imply to say is try to identify sentences which like nourish the content, which like can help as a, we can say, support. It can act as a support when you are struggling with the content, and you can accordingly you can support yourself whenever you are struggling with it, that what kind of segments can be probably be created. Okay, so you can create wholesome sentences related to a specific topic, like the topic which are often repeated. There are topics related to governance, ethical governance, development, education, women. Okay, so try to identify which topics in terms of philosophical topics, topics related to ideal, value, life, dimension related to civil services values, by taking the typical terms of the values. So all those segments can be developed in terms of the content when we are discussing about it. Okay, so we can develop the segments accordingly. Catastrophic natural event on earth, yes, you can use such an expression, Neetu. So every a lot of new content is bringing, how much to add, it seems there is no end. Yes, it is no end, Divya. It is something that we also keep consolidating, and it is something that we also keep working. Like there was an expression few months back, I remember, the warp and weft. This term was used in Rajmohan Gandhi's book. So I was reading it, and while reading it, he was discussing about how there was the intertwining of two phenomena. So intertwining of X and Y phenomena is something that we use, but the warp and weft was a new expression for me. So when I saw, I was like, wow, it's so beautifully expressed. What is warp and weft? You can see that when weavers are weaving, there are like straight threads which are there, and then they what they do is they mix a thread, or they put a thread in different angles, and after that they pull it, and then again another thread, and then they pull it, right? So the thread which is like moving in a like vertical direction and horizontal direction, that is warp and weft, and was used as a phrasal expression in his book. So I was like, wow, so beautiful. This can be used. The thing is definitely not on students, because half of them will not be able to understand. But that's how, like, you improve upon your expression when you think of probably writing a book, when you think of interacting with seniors in a more polished language, not a kiddish language. So that is what. The word was this, Samin, warp and weft. Okay. So that's how you tend to learn. Nature is on the escarpment of destruction. Yes, you can talk about it with respect to global warming, but escarpment of destruction, escarpment is a process. Okay, so nature is on the escarpment, verge of destruction, you can say. Escarpment of destruction, it will just do. But ment is a process, an ongoing process. So is on the is never for an ongoing process. On the like preposition is used for something that you arrive at, or something which is at the corner, verge, something which is there, but we can consider like it is existing. It's more like in a stable possibility which would change, but it is associated with a state. A state process is not a state. Process is ongoing phenomena. That's the only difficulty. Yes, you should create the sentence bank from like newspapers, magazines, and all other sources. Okay, so exceptionally high extinction rates, yes, this expression can be taken up. I'm referring to new bills. They are being passed each day. Agreements, development schemes. Oh, don't get too much into it. Anything which is a centrally sponsored scheme will be important. So not every teeny tiny scheme is important. Uh, in 150 words, it is generally theoretical mixed with how it is articulating in the present, how it is impacting in the present. So the space for writing the present situation blended with the theoretical understanding is 1/3 of the answer. That means 50 words. So you won't get a lot of space to write about like agreements, development schemes, all of it that you are learning. Okay, knowing few of them, the most important ones, will solve the, we can consider the understanding of it. Okay, so that's what you can connect with. So, in which context can we use the phrase warp and weft when two phenomena are getting intertwined? So, the warp and weft of caste system along with politics has created a very interesting design in Indian political scenario, whereby identity politics has gained tremendous momentum. Full stop. Got it? Like that, warp and weft. So caste system, politics. The thread of politics running through caste system has generated a new momentum to identity based politics. Like that you can use it. Okay. So what I advise you with respect to sentence bank, try to identify like phrasal expressions or wholesome sentences which create like a meaningful articulation to the content. Okay, like for example, I can just give you this example and probably it will help you to connect deeper. So there was this, like, let me give you this assignment and a little assignment, and let me see how you all are like understanding this. See this. If the question is like, let's say, non communicable diseases, see it how it works for creating the content in terms of sentence bank, how you can create that. So you can also create such sentences, wholesome sentences. Okay, so like, let's say if I'm saying non communicable diseases, non communicable diseases are expected expected to have grave implications, on India's development in the long run. In the long run. Let me keep the nature of question simple. So I'm just writing discuss. So you are open to discuss, right? So how do you go about with it? What is the method of attempting this? Because yesterday you people were struggling with organization also. So if you don't know how to organize a GS answer, you don't know how to organize the content associated with essay as well. And that is something which is going to impact the way you engage with the answer. Yes, people. Okay, in GS perspective, yes, in GS perspective, go ahead with it. So definition of communicable disease. Is it required? Is it written define? No. Is it written elucidate? No. Is it written explain? No. So discuss means the strength, weakness of this given statement, how far it is valid, how we can see things are like unfolding. So non-communicable disease, not required. Okay, fine, you can start with data, fact, something else. Suppose you don't know the data, fact. Yeah. How will you start? How will you go ahead with it? In discuss, you don't have the space for defining, so don't go ahead with this. Herd immunity, okay, historical information, types, virility. Indian development can be paralyzed by the reduction of people's participation in economic activity. Okay. All right, very good, Santosh. I appreciate the sentence that Indian development can be paralyzed by reduction in people's participation in the economic activity due to non-communicable disease. Perfect, perfect, very good. A healthy population is the human capital of a country. Okay, and then you are continuing with it. While we collect the sentences, we get stuck up in using such sentences in essay. No, that doesn't happen, because I'll tell you, when it is a part of your notes, when you're revising your notes, it is just there towards the end. So it's not the exact sentence and all sentences that you can pick and use, Femina. It's few sentences inspire you with language, few inspire you with vocabulary, few inspire you with the writing style. Sometimes you copy a similar kind of statement, you create a similar statement related to another related context rather than using the exact sentence. So it actually works at multifarious level when we speak of it. So okay, demographic dividend will be hurt, India's condition, see. Okay, fine, see. First and foremost, when it is saying it is expected to have grave implications on India's development in the long run. Okay. So first, mentally, you should think about what are the causes of NCDs. Then you should think about what are the consequences. Right. So causes, consequences, and you can think about solutions. And enlist all these three segments into a paraphrased manner, and then you can work it out. Okay. So when we are discussing about the causes, like non-communicable diseases are expected to have grave implications. So what is the reason because of which they are happening, and why grave? Why grave? like what is the intensity of non-communicable diseases. So what is the intensity and what is the impact? Okay, so grave, so you have to understand the intensity of impact as well. That's why it can have grave implication. So causes of NCD, when you talk of it, you can think of lifestyle. We can consider lifestyle changes. Causes of NCD, we can also talk about, like we can say the food habits. Okay, the food habits. It can be connected to stress. I'll give you the sentence, how you create sentence bank out of it. Okay, it can be associated with obesity. um, Causes, may we can think of double burden. So double burden, what is double burden? That is malnourishment plus, we can say, obesity. So malnourishment plus obesity. Then you can think within this given subsegment, like the component of, like maybe poverty. Okay, you can connect it with shifting to a sedentary lifestyle, sedentary urban life, sedentary urban life, and connecting it with globalization as well. So briefly speaking, these can be the causes, right? Now, what is the consequences? So the moment we are saying NCDs, we can think of like cancer, diabetes, respiratory disorders, and we can connect it with cardiovascular diseases, right? So we can see the treatment costs are going up. So productive workforce can go down, as you people are pointing it out. So productive workforce can go down, right? We can associate it with, like, it can impact the intensity of development. So estimated loss in GDP, if you have some data. So estimated loss for GDP. We can also connect it with so healthcare expenditure. I have already, catastrophic situation related to that. I have household economy, not just country's economy, but household economy can get affected. Okay, it will create burden on healthcare ecosystem, burden on healthcare ecosystem, right? So all these possibilities are there associated with its consequences. Okay, if untreated people will rise, then we can say a lot of NCDs will go unnoticed. So that's also there. A rise in untreated unnoticed population. So all these given possibilities can be associated with it, right? Yes, poverty rate, yes, that all that gets affected. Solution, we can talk about public awareness can be increased. We can also talk healthy lifestyle. In this, you can recall yoga and all that, like marathons, open gyms. You can also connect it with R&D, more work on R&D to find better solutions, right? Now, this is how you're supposed to think. Your mind should work in this manner when you are thinking about the given question, any question. And when you have the keywords, you can always mentally visualize that what will be the tentative word limit related to every point that I'm thinking. So in causes, how many words will I take in elaborating the component of causes? So 3 sentences, 4 sentences, 5 sentences, you can always visualize it. That due to sedentary lifestyle, post globalization, we can see an increase in the intensity of obesity. Massive life changes have also encouraged the problem of, we can say, food habits or greasy and oily food habits. High levels of stress further induces this problem. India is nowadays suffering from double burden of health crisis associated with malnourishment as well as obesity. Uh, Unhealthy population can increase the intensity of poverty. So I can mentally visualize this content is going to take at least 55 to 60 words if I'm going liberal or generous in my expression. So I can sense it. It's somewhere between 50 to 60, nothing less than that. Okay. So that's how you visualize. Yesterday, all those students who were struggling, how do I know how much a point is going to take the number of words? This is how you realize how much a point is going to take in like with respect to words, the words it is going to consume. So are side headings necessary? This is how you think, Santosh. This is how you think. This is not something that you will be able to write in GS answer, because you don't have time to write all this. In essay, at least you can make such structures, and the structures ought to be made because content has to be 12 to 18 pages as per your size of handwriting. So you cannot do away with not making these structures. But for GS answer, this is done mentally. And you become, when you become pro, you start doing it mentally. Otherwise, if you are making the structure and then writing and putting a language to it, it's a lost game because you won't be able to complete the question paper only. So this is how you have to start learning how to think now. So with respect to this, when we are speaking of like the diseases are like termite eating Indians. Termite eating Indians, I'll give you a better expression. So suppose you have to write the introduction of this. So you can write down something like this: silently nibbling at the root of, or maybe I should use another space. So maybe I can erase this part. Nibbling, you understand, people? Do you understand the meaning of nibbling? A rat nibbles on a piece of cheese. Nibbling, kutarna in Hindi as it is called. I don't know other languages for this. So, and slowly you are taking little bites, that is called nibbling. Okay. So, when we are speaking of it, yes, we said respiratory disorders. So, tuberculosis like implies that. Okay, now, so with respect to this, probably you can write something like, let's say, silently nibbling at the roots of Indian health with an ever expanding presence, with an ever expanding presence, non communicable diseases are paralyzing the future prospects of development. The future prospects of development. Now, any question associated with healthcare, we can connect with this given possibility, right? Okay, can I advise you something, all of you? Can I advise it in terms of how to extract the material? So, do you know the importance of the principles which are discussed in a policy? The principles in a policy can help you with profound sentences for sentence bank, which can be used as powerful introduction and conclusion for your like GS answers. Okay. So for that, probably I can give you this as a little homework. a little homework. Homework means the break, in break what you are going to do. So for sentence bank, how policies can be helpful, I can advise you that for strengthening your insight that how policies are a source of sentence bank, just download National Health Policy. Okay, National Health Policy 2017. Just download it. Okay, so I will be discussing how we can use the content given in National Health Policy for creating powerful sentences in sentence bank. Chalega? Is that fine? Is that acceptable to everyone? Yes? Okay. So we will deal with this area. So just download National Health Policy and we'll be able to reflect upon this given subsegment. But we'll do it in the break. So that after the break, I can show you exactly the sentences. So beautiful, so wholesome, so powerful, so thought provoking. Because many of you are now understanding that when you understand the gist of the question, you can create sentence bank by yourself. Okay, so it is possible to create sentence bank by yourself. It is possible to borrow the sentence banks from relevant sources. So I'll show you how to lift sentence bank from National Health Policy. Okay, after the break. So that's something which I'll be like sharing with all of you. Okay, many of you have downloaded it also. Okay, great. So if you have actually downloaded it, if all of you have downloaded it, then we can open it. Is it fine if we discuss it now? Yeah, is it fine if we discuss it now? It will be interesting, I'm quite sure, for all of you to reflect upon the given subsegment. So other than nibbling, you could have also used the word gnawing, silently gnawing at the roots of Indian health. Okay, Indian health with ever expanding presence ke jagah, with root of Indian health with a profuse influence, or with influencing it profusely, common, like that also you could have written. Okay, so um, there are multiple possibilities of rewriting this given statement. Anyway, okay, so all of you have downloaded National Health Policy, great. So let us reflect from National Health Policy how we can extract this given material. So National Health Policy, as nibbling means taking little bites, femina. Okay, so National Health Policy, you can see that the key policy principles, can you see the key policy principles, which is 2.2, the point number 2.2, key policy principles, everyone. Which year? 2017. We generally need to arrive at a like a policy after sometimes decades also. Like post independence, we had only 3 policies related to education. So one was 1968, second was 86. 86 was amended in 91 also, but then 2020. So 3 policies related to health, this education. Now healthcare 2017, till now we have not amended, though we need to amend the health policy in the wake of pandemics and epidemics. If it happens, how to take control and charge of it, we need to have that. Okay. So key policy principle, as we are able to open 2.2, now you can see there are some key words. Words like professionalism, integrity, ethics, then equity, later affordability, universality, patient-centered quality care, accountability, inclusive partnership, pluralism, decentralization, dynamism, and adaptiveness. Okay. So what could have been done is, like if I were in your place, I would have memorized these words and then I would have recreated them as sentence. Like for example, suppose there is a question related to mother and child health care. Okay, so I would have written something like this, that the challenges associated with mother and child health care, which leads to high CMR and MMR, can be associated with lack of equity, affordability, universality, patient-centered quality care, which is provided at decentralized level. Full stop. Fine. Suppose I change the question. There is a question associated with division in rural and urban healthcare, and I'm struggling how to start the answer. That why rural and urban healthcare system have different levels of access to resources, different levels of accountability and access to resources. So I would have used this same material. I would have written that the difference between rural and urban healthcare can be associated or can be reflected from the perspectives of professionalism, integrity, affordability, patient-centered quality care, comma, inclusive partnerships, and decentralization. Can you see that? Same points. Any question related to healthcare, our aspiration related to any dimension of healthcare will be related to achieving these targets. So any question related to healthcare will be associated with, we can say, these aspirations. Universal means something which is available everywhere. Santosh. Okay. So if I memorize the list of these words or recreate them as sentences, I can use it as my introduction or conclusion of any question related to healthcare on an average, isn't it? If anyone is struggling with the content, that how to start an answer, how to end an answer, and especially when you are under the pressure, especially during mains exam or even mains test series, when you're struggling, oh my God, how to develop the content, oh, I'm really like feeling jittery about the content. This is the method. This is the method. Getting it, everyone? Yes? Okay. Please, once again, make sentences with this, Sri Devi. Okay, just make sentences with this. If you say once again, I'll again change the nature of question. So I discussed mother and child health care. I discussed rural, urban. Okay. Now suppose if I have to discuss the component associated with availability of doctors. Okay. That lack of human resource is the primary challenge associated with healthcare. So I'll start with the same thing. I'll be like, human resource or poor availability of human resource can be associated with lack of professionalism, integrity and ethics, affordable, accountable services coming from a decentralized access to human resource in India or across India can be enlisted as primary reasons responsible for it. Something like that. Getting it? Just picking the words, framing a sentence, because human resource is also associated with this. Why don't we have enough doctors? For the simple reason they lack professionalism, they don't have the degree, they lack integrity. A patient needs to be kept under observation for 24 hours. For making inflating medical bills, they are kept for a week. So lack of integrity, ethics, universality. Good doctors are not present everywhere. Patient centered quality care, self explanatory word, right? Decentralized availability of doctors means in urban areas you can find, but not in rural areas. See this? Is it making sense, everyone? Yeah. So I hope why UNESCO rigid in some critical aspects such as no budging to increase budgetary allocation. Because that's not sensational, Bhavna. Sensational issues across decades have always made it to the budget. Okay, so I hope this has encouraged your level of confidence. Now what I'll encourage you, like slide up and move to point number 4, National Health Program. Move to point number 4. Okay, National Health Program. Open that. And under National Health Programs, the first one is RMNCH plus A. Can you see that, everyone? Can you open it? Point number 4. Point number 4. Yes? Okay. So after opening this given subsegment, let us reflect what is it saying and how we pick sentence bank from these sources. So this sentence is saying, as you can read, maternal and child survival is a mirror that reflects the entire spectrum of social development. Full stop. And this is a sentence bank. A sentence that can be written in any given question related to mother and child healthcare. It can help us to start the answer or to end the answer. You'll be like, what's so great about it? You know, when you are discussing about the chapter of poverty and when you are discussing about multidimensional poverty index, one of the indicators is related to health, and health is associated with maternal health and maternal mortality, adolescent mortality, child mortality. Means if a country is suffering from high level of child mortality, maternal mortality or adolescent mortality. What is adolescent mortality? A girl died in her teenage. Why? Child marriage, childhood pregnancy, okay, teenage pregnancy. So that will lead to her death. She won't be able to push the child out. There will be complications in the birth, right? So when you understand this given possibility related to this given subsegment of mother's health, you understand that uh, for measuring poverty of a country, similarly human development index, if you see human development index, it is associated with again health, and the paradigm of health is associated with not only just nutrition, it is associated with health of mother and child. India is suffering from poor levels of, we can say, uh, development in various global indicators because of not performing well in health quotient. And what is the idea of health quotient? It is associated with mother and child health. So if India, and that's the reason, see, government, like last year, it made it mandatory that let us take a step forward and increase the marriageable age of women from 18 to 21. The bill is proposed, yet to be passed. But why is the government so adamant about it? Why such strict steps were taken in Assam by getting the couples arrested, parents arrested when there was a child marriage? Why? What was the reason? This. Because if we are able to contain child marriage, if we are able to increase the marriageable age of the girl, if we are able to reduce maternal mortality, child mortality, we will be able to show India in a healthier space of development. Please understand that. So human development index, we will fare well. In component of, we can say, poverty, we will fare well. Like multidimensional poverty index, we'll fare well. Is it making sense to all of you? And thus this sentence. Because you have not studied this topic, henceforth, you might not be having the reasoning. So I gave you the reasoning. And now see the sentence. Maternal and child survival is a mirror that reflects the entire spectrum of social development. Right? The entire spectrum of social development. Shivani, I had written it on the board for students like you that go to point number 4. And in point number 4, I wrote national health programs. And in national health programs, go to RMNCH plus A. Okay, for students like you only, I wrote it on the board. So some student who's not paying attention or is distracted or internet is not working, that child can see the board and can understand that this is what I need to open under national health policy. अगर मान लो 10 मिनट पहले गायब हो गई थी, ठीक है, just in case you disappeared 10 minutes back. So we are discussing about national health policy 2017. Students had downloaded it and we started discussing how to pick sentence bank from it. Got it? So you can see this. I hope this is inspiring for all of you. So when someone says, ma'am, where to find the sentence bank? I'm like, oh, GS. You are reading so much, every philosophically triggering idea. Remember when we were discussing ethics, a lot of you were like, oh my God, this was something breathtaking. This was something like really, it changed my perception to what the reality is. Or this is something, the level at which we should think. This is an in-depth level of thinking and this is required to be thought. Remember? Yes. So that is what is required. All papers of GS can nourish you with respect to creation of sentence bank. All papers. Every paper has the potential to create that for all of you. All right. So these sentences, when incorporated, similarly, if you are being thorough with national education policy principles, you get a list of words which can be memorized and can work as an introduction for any question related to education. Those sentences can be incorporated in essay related to education, right? You prepare the component of ethics very well, GS paper 4. From Indian to Western philosophers and thinkers, chapter of ethics, chapter of attitude, aptitude, the component related to emotional intelligence, human values, okay, not just human values, but also civil services values. Pick sentences, memorize it. You can reproduce it in the content very thoroughly. Dispensaries, the highest MRP medicine are kept which cost them minimum price level as they are generic. Generic, GE. Okay, Prashant. And price they got that of ethical from patients that also lack of ethical facilities. Yes, all that is there, but we are not discussing GS, Prashant. And the sentence is grammatically incorrect. Okay, so just giving you a reality check. Concern is perfect, but this is how we can go ahead. Yes, RMNCH plus A is an acronym. It is like reproductive, maternal, neonatal, child plus adolescent healthcare. Healthcare as a distant dream for marginalized section of society revolves around the spectrum of principles such as professionalism, integrity, equity, affordability, and universality. Perfect, perfect, Devansh. That's how sentences are created. Okay. So when you understand the concept and when you have the keywords, you can always create a sentence bank. This approach will help you in GS plus essay. Okay, I hope I'm able to generate some kind of confidence related to not reading something extra. What sources you have to do for your GS preparation is sufficient to like nourish and enrich the content for essay. I hope all of you are getting this idea. But bina likhe nahi hoga. Just by reading it is not going to happen. You have to write and you have to practice. Okay. Fine. So shall we move ahead further? All right. So, rootedness and pride in India, rich, diverse, ancient, modern culture, knowledge systems, tradition of education. Yes, all these topics are important. Yeah. So, after sentence bank, let me show you some list of quotations which I created, which can also be as a sentence bank. You'll find them very profound over here. Like Margaret Mead, she said, "We won't have a society if we destroy the environment." Think, think deep. A society is what? A group of people staying together, having a common shared sense of belongingness. The idea of shared sense of belongingness will not be there if environment gets destroyed. First, survivability will be under question. Cooperation will not be there. Human beings will be fighting with other human beings over limited resources, multiple things. So, like, a question which is deep, a statement which is deep, leaves you thinking. You can memorize such sentences. Again, Roosevelt, he said, a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. Okay, this can be used in geography, a question which is starting with the soil. So think about it. Henry David Thoreau, he said that what is the use of a house if you haven't got a tolerable planet to put it on? Now this is something very long. Ban Ki-moon, he was the General Secretary of UN. Okay, so Secretary General of United Nations, ex-Secretary General. Why I really appreciated this sentence. I felt this can be created in so many ways. See this? Saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing economic growth. These are one and the same fight. We must connect the dots between climate change, water scarcity, energy shortages, global health, food security, and women's empowerment. Solution to one problem must be solutions for all. Right? Very thought provoking. You might be left thinking that, oh my God, this was something which I wish someone explains it to me, or I need to sit and think and connect the topics of GS, how climate change is associated with women empowerment. Whenever climate change will happen, resource depreciation will happen, any kind of social conflict or friction will occur, first women will be targeted. The one community will target the another community, and in the process of targeting another community, women will become victims of violence. See, things are so interconnected. Water scarcity, you can connect. Energy shortage, global health, because climate change can induce different types of viruses, bacteria, which can lead to different types of health related problems. Food security, right? So think, see, very thought provoking statement. And I think this can leave you thinking deep related to the topic. Some simpler quotations have also been enlisted, like earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. Okay, or other than Mahatma Gandhi, we can see Leonardo DiCaprio saying our planet's alarm is going off and it is time to wake up and take the action. Or E.O. Wilson saying that if all mankind were to disappear, the world would regenerate back to the rich state of equilibrium that existed 10,000 years ago. If insects were to vanish, the environment would collapse into chaos. So that's what you can think of keystone species on this earth. Bee as a keystone species in air, tiger as a keystone species on earth, like the land. So these keystone species, how they harmonize the environment, how they create a balance in the ecosystem, balance of species, presence of species. Okay. So yes, sparrows, you can think of all that here. Though sparrows are very sensitive animals, so rather they can be considered as a benchmark of we can say mental health of people, because how much radiation are you exposed to and how it is going to impact your thought process. Yes, beetles also you can think. Hmm? So all of you are getting some inkling related to it. Okay, so we can head to another segment that is associated with philosophical essays. Okay, so just a second. Yeah, a few words I have created. Yes, I want to show you this also. So you can memorize or you can make a list of powerful connectors. Okay, I forgot to discuss this. So make a list of powerful connectors. And when I say make a list of powerful connectors, I imply to say that try to engage with, try to incorporate the insights related to all the statements you are coming across in NCRT or in like newspapers and magazines, how one para is leading to another. Like despite the previous arguments, speaking about this, we may say that, or regarding this. So changing the para, and you can use few of these. You can create your own. Okay, so put it briefly as it has been noted with regards few examples associated with how one idea gets connected to other. Okay, so next time when you're reading NCRT or any book, pay attention how one para is getting connected to the other, and lift those expressions and memorize those words, memorize those expressions. I've created some connectors for all of you. You can see this. For example, like when you have to write an answer where you are illustrating examples, so you have a tendency to write for example, for example, for example. To make the expression more interesting, you can write down for instance, or you can write down as revealed by, as illustrated by, okay, in particular, okay, an instance of this. So think about it. Such as, see this, right? Similarly, when we are talking about, like, let's say results, so majority of the times we have the tendency to write thus and hence, but how many of us write like consequently, thereupon? Okay, think about it. So writing some interesting set of words is essential to make, like, who says that you have to memorize bombastic words, flowery words? No, simple words, which is impactful. When you are communicating, it looks more polished. It is not repetitive. It is not like very typical. It's the language you feel like listening, you feel like reading. Okay, so that's how you flip with words. What is most frequently used? Okay, so recall those words and remember the synonyms. For example, if you're thinking of but, when we are talking about contrasts, have I written contrast? Yes. So suppose if I'm thinking of but, so but, yet, okay, so other than that we can think of nevertheless. So but yet is what mostly we write, but nevertheless, nonetheless, conversely, alternatively. Okay, like however people use. Okay, but despite, in spite of, who is going to use all this? Okay, so try to make your content more engaging and interesting by knowing the flip words. And initially it will be little tedious because you'll have to think, what is the next word, or what was the alternate word I knew. So those pauses initially will happen because you're not in the habit of using these words. They are not a part of your vocabulary. You understand them, but they are not a part of your vocabulary. So identify the gap and start working on it. Okay, so when you start working on these aspects, you'll see in your GS also the answer becomes more engaging. In essay also the answer becomes more engaging. So those students who say, ma'am, what to source, what methods to incorporate, just be thorough with your GS. Master your expression. That's something which is going to help you. There's something which I have created for all of you other than these powerful list of connectors and stuff. See this. I've created a list of Yojana, if you see this. So you all can see this is Yojana March 2019. And there is one more Yojana which I have created October 2020. There is a reason. One is pre-COVID and second is during COVID. Why? Okay. You will see that how the Yojana editorial is written like an essay, more like a 600 word to 700 words essay. So standard essay, all those people who are like, but if I would have read some essay, I would have gained some more confidence. Some kind of like, standard essay, how it should be written. If I would have read, I would have gained confidence. Again, you don't need to buy a book, because again, if you're buying a book, there will be some 400, 500 odd essays related to different chapters, topics. But UPSC can ask 700th topic, 1200th topic. So reading an essay book is not a solution. Developing that language, that expression, that process of thought, that process of spectrum thinking, that brain mapping, that brainstorming is the solution. And that happens when you engage your brain into thinking and writing, thinking and writing. But still, if you want some source to inspire you, how to get inspiration from the essay. Okay, so in that situation, you can, okay, all right, that's understood this expression. Great, great, Jhansi. If you are understanding this expression, please explain a similar x and another x like in comparison column. In comparison column, what was it? It must be just a simplistic expression. Oh, this is like a similar reference is. Okay. Another example can be like, or another possibility related to it can be like. So like when you have to stretch the content, it's just X is associated with that. Okay. Anyway, moving to this. So just, I am going to show you just the introduction and just the conclusion, and you'll realize why it is written like an essay. So this is during COVID, the new world order, a topic which was related to IR, as you can see. So just see the introduction, because see, Yojana is not, Yojana editorial is not written to inform you. And I know majority of you have never paid attention to the editorial. You read the inside articles. But editorial is written like an essay. Majority of the students do not know that fact, because the editor has invited an array of articles coming from academicians, think tanks, bureaucrats, ministries. Different people contribute to the Yojana magazine that specific month. Different people have contributed. After different people have contributed to that specific article, then what is done? So then we all can see that they start incorporating the insights, they start substantiating the insights. Means the editor like reads all the segment and prepares a gist of reflection, and then paraphrases it into an essay and writes it as an editorial. That's why editorial is not associated with the core reflection which is there inside the articles, but it is a gist of it, a wholesome reflection of it. See this here. So the pandemic has changed the world and its order. The world, which was earlier grappled with issues like climate change, poverty, migration, terrorism, nuclear weapons, has kept everything else on back burner. The health emergency and its ramifications are at the center stage. This unprecedented situation worldwide has redefined the international relations and the role India would play in the years to come. See this? So here you are seeing sentence bank also, like unprecedented situation, like words like its ramifications, right? Like everything else is on back burner. See these expressions, right? And it is so pertinent that yes, after pandemic, all the core issues we were debating, climate change, poverty, migration, terrorism, nuclear weapons, everything got sidelined. Everything else went to the back burner, right? The core issue that emerged was health emergency, and how prepared are we? That took the center stage, right? See this with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and see the translation is provided. The world is one family. As the basic tenet of our foreign policy, India is committed to work towards paving a road ahead for a world in the post-pandemic era. Simultaneously, it has to safeguard interests of its own by achieving self-reliance and reaffirming its presence in international trade. So both the things, self-reliance plus we can see reaffirming the presence in international trade along with maintaining the international cooperation. Both the segments are incorporated here. See this. So I hope you are getting an idea, like from where to get to read something like which is standard size of an ideal essay. This is the size. This is the approach. This is something that all of you can connect with. All right. So I hope all of you are gaining some confidence seeing this. See the conclusion. Gandhiji in 1924 wrote, "My ambition is nothing less to see international affairs placed on a moral basis through India's efforts." He believed that there was no limit to extend our services to our neighbors across state made frontiers. Then, under quotes, what he said, God never made these frontiers. He wrote in Young India in 1925. It is impossible for one to be internationalist without being a nationalist. So, anything associated with national interest coming up in your GS paper 4, that is there in Code of Ethics, Code of Conduct, there also you can quote this. You can quote it here also, related to anything related to national interest or national, international aspect being reflected in a topic. You can write this specific expression there also. I hope this is inspiring. And if you want to blow up the content, read 2-3 articles related to the same topic inside. You'll find some facts, some analysis, some dimensions. Add it in between. The moment you add it in between, the content blows up to 1,000, 1,200 words. Right? So, what are you writing SM? It is coming for M. So, what do I understanding for M? Like probably there's some typo error. See this? Right? See this associated with, see this associated with development. If I ask all of you, what is the idea of development? Let me hide this. If I ask from all of you, what is the idea of development? What do you understand by development, people? Yes. Start explaining. What is development for you? What should I perceive from your understanding? What is development? To improve human growth, overall growth, all right? Improvement, inclusive growth, a sense of fulfillment, qualitative enhancement, ease, well being, where people live happily, better lifestyle. Okay, so wider ability, choices, where no one sleeps hungry and lives safely. Okay, sustainable development, enriching the roots of moral thinking, equitable, sustainable, arising. Okay, so a lot of you have a lot of ideas related to development, and everyone, just imagine when you're writing an essay starting with defining development or your insight related to development, just see that it will be almost in the similar box. Everyone will be talking about the same sustainable, inclusive, multidimensional understanding of development, right? When growth becomes multidimensional, right? So all of you are incorporating a similar tendency of expressing. When I said that introduction should be fresh and thought provoking, because essay is not only associated with one dimensional realm, it is a wholesome understanding of the topic. See this. Very simplistic in language, but how inspiring, how wholesome this introduction is. Development dash. The word has different connotations in different situations. It could mean development of a person dash, physical or mental, comma, development of a concept or idea for a researcher, or development of a theme for a choreographer. See this? So wholesome. So the word development will differ from whom we are asking. If we are asking a bureaucrat or a future bureaucrat, the person will be talking about sustainable development, inclusive development, multidimensional aspects of growth and development, security, no one going hungry. So your insights will be more associated with pro-people intervention, right? But when we are talking about this idea of development from a broader perspective, as discussed here, so beautifully it is written that development holds different connotations in different situations. Development can be associated with a person, the physical, mental, moral, whatever, right? For a researcher, the word development will imply how to develop the concept for a new research topic, how to arrive at a hypothesis. That will be the idea of a development for a researcher. For a choreographer, the word development will imply a new theme on which dance can be presented. See? See? So I hope all of you are able to see freshness, which I said, because everyone will be writing in a similar possibility of development. Everyone will be expanding in similar lines of development. But how about giving it a fresh start? How about like painting a, I would say, a more diverse picture, that it is a subjective term. I am listening to development, I'll have my own insight. But development will imply differently for different people in different contexts, right? So here in the second para, it actually boils down to what you were discussing. For a nation, development has wide-ranging perspectives. It means improvement in various sectors relating to a country's economy, issues affecting daily life of common man, child development, gender justice, et al. See this expression, et al. I don't know how many of you know this and how to use it. So it also entails inclusive growth. See this, right? Again, conclusion. I'm not reading the entire detail because topic by topic, the aspiration will differ. And there are so many Yojana magazines related to various topics kept in the archive section, recent archives as well as archives. So you can visit them at your free will. See this. The father of the nation had observed, recall the face of the poorest and weakest man you have seen, and ask yourself if this step you contemplate is going to be any use to him. Remember Gandhi's talisman? I was constantly quoting in GS paper 4. This is what is quoted here. It is written in the beginning of IGNOU books also, and written in the beginning of NCERT also. That's what is written here. These words convey the entire spectrum of development and should be the cornerstone of all development policies. Can you see this entire spectrum of development? This word was used even in national health policy related to RMN-CH plus A, that when we reflect upon health of mother and child, it mirrors the entire spectrum of development of a society. Can you see that? How the comparison is there, how the like similarity in language and reflection is there. So how to enrich language? There are some typical ways to enrich it. Some typical expressions which you are not comfortable in using or writing it, but once you do it, it will be like a fluid expression. Paper 1, paper 4, essay, anywhere, you're writing it like effortlessly. And language which is inspiring others, right? So you can see this and should be the cornerstone of all development policies. I think this is something which you can read. Like for example, there is a question on justice, on equality, okay, freedom of speech, anything. You can just, the freedom of speech entails the entire spectrum of development of a given society, which is responsible in exercising it. And it is the cornerstone of the implementation or the realization of our constitutional principles, full stop. So cornerstone of, and then you can change expression, word bank, sentence bank, this, get inspired. So all those students who are struggling with the issue of language 2 days back, 3 days back, and constantly saying, ma'am, I struggle with my vocabulary, what sources to refer, oh, I'm struggling with my sentences, what sources to refer. I hope now everything is falling in order, right? And I hope all of you are now realizing this, that why I said once you know the methods and techniques, there are not many methods and techniques, you can enlist them in a, I would say, profound manner, and after that it's all about practicing. So I hope all of you are getting an idea. How is a lie improving the nation and its people to its excellent situation? Excellent is ambiguous. Okay, so rather than excellent, you can choose a different word other than excellent. Excellence situation cannot be written because excellence is a noun, situation is noun. Two nouns cannot be written together. Santosh. Okay, so so everyone is like having a fair idea about vocabulary, about sentence building. Then we can start with philosophical essays. So how about before starting the philosophical essay, this is the right time to take the break. So let us take the break. It is 6, that is the core. Welcome back everyone. So let us start with what we had been discussing, right? So we were about to start with philosophical essays. and we had to reflect upon how to build the content associated with philosophical essays, right? So the core segment associated with philosophical essays is interpretation of the topics, right? So if I reflect upon the interpretation of the topics and connect it with the philosophical essay, so first and foremost, just a second, yeah, 2022, 2022. Okay. So under the component of 2022 topics, which were there in, we all can see this specific year, that is just last year mains. So how are these topics like articulating before us, and what are the aspirations associated with them? So let us start first and foremost with easier topics. Okay. In terms of easier topics, if I'm discussing about it, we all can see that first we can start with this 2018 topic. The 2018 witnessed 5 topics associated with the given segment of philosophical or quote based essay. So here all of you can see it's written, a good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge, right? Let us identify the trend that is there. So the trend is associated with like, we all can see love, knowledge, good life. Then customary morality. This is something which we discussed yesterday. Customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. Okay. Then the past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. So consciousness, values, past, history. A people. Okay. First thing which I would like to ask. Can we write the expression a people? What does the meaning of a people imply? Yes, people. What is the understanding of a people? What do you understand by the term a people? Society, a set of people, a society. Indefinite. Okay, very good, Sahil. So one can't be it all. Human, group of people. So tell me something. What is the difference between people, a people, the people? Okay, so specific is like a collective group. The refers to definite. Okay, so this is a definite group. And what is people? People is an umbrella term. Okay, so it's an umbrella term. Agreed. And a people, group of people who share something in common. No, okay. A people, what is a people? About specific persons. Okay. Something else? Yes. People list specific people. Okay. A people is a narrow concept. It can be any people, any group of people. Okay. Very good, Shivani. Yes. So when we are talking about a people, it is associated with any group of people. Here we can see people is a general term. Okay, people of the world. The people of the world is specific, what like we are hinting to. Have you heard this peoples? If I use peoples of the world, what does this imply? Yes. What is the word peoples? So a people is any group of people. That's what all of you could come up with. What is peoples of the world? All the people. Okay, something else? The people including specific. Okay, fine. Specific area, noun. Everything is noun here. Different types of people, specific. Okay, different types. Very good, Anushka. Different groups of people clubbed together, combined together. Very good, Ravi. Okay. The difference between people of the world or a people of the world and peoples of the world, this is something which all of you need to understand. Like peoples of the world is like more like a thali. Okay, this. Different communities, you are recognizing them differently. That yes, there are different communities and they are putting up together. That is associated with peoples. All right, peoples of the world. Now, when we are talking about the people means any specific group of people, any specific group, okay, whom you are giving stress or importance. The people of the world means they are supposed to do something important. So there has to be some kind of importance. A people means any group of people. Okay, so that's how you're supposed to understand. Simple words, look very similar, sound very similar, but they can alter the meaning of the sentence. And when you don't understand a sentence completely, the capability for you to create insights, dimensions gets affected, right? So I hope all of you are understanding this, that the component of people identification is distinct, and when we are talking about a people, you can connect it with, like, the distinction again is there, but no specificity is there who is that community. And when we are talking about people of the world, it's more like khichdi, where you mix every community irrespective of its language, race, identity. When you mix everyone, then you say people of the world. And when some important idea or segment has to be shared, then you say the people of the world. Okay, so everyone is understanding this expression. What is this segment associated with a people? So that values its privileges. Values means gives importance, gives importance. So gives importance to its privileges above its principles, loses both. Who can explain this? That values, that gives importance to its privileges above its principles. Principles here is associated with values. So we can see the term values over here, values again over here. Okay. When we are talking about love is also a value which needs to be exercised. Customary morality is connected to values. So every topic, like we can say, is indirectly associated with it. So, well, when we are talking about this, a people that values its privileges above its principles loses both. What does it imply? Something too much destroys. That's a very simplistic explanation. Person who undermine his principle in order to earn privilege don't get both of it. Yes, that's what it implies. That's what is written. Okay. So if you don't do hard work, you lose comfort. Okay, okay. Okay, let me give you an example associated with one of my students, and you'll get this. So what happened is, boy, after becoming a DSP, he was like, basically he got selected as an IPS. In probation he was posted as a DSP, later like would be promoted. Okay, so what happened was that when he was posted as a DSP in one of the districts in UP, which was in the border area of Nepal, India. Okay, so he got a tip that some drug trafficking is going to happen, it's going to take place. So he was supposed to like catch hold of the drug cartel, and for which every vehicle had to be inspected. The order had come from above, so he was very diligent about it, and what he did was he himself was present. Okay, when the vehicles that were just passing by, they had to be cross checked. So what happened was that he was getting every single vehicle checked. That was taking time, no worries, but he was being diligent about his duty. Now what happened was that coincidentally the DIG's wife, she was traveling to Nepal for some shopping, some work. So she traveled all the way to Nepal. And when she was coming back, this fellow stopped the vehicle and he wanted to search it. So she felt offended and she was like, do you even know who I am? I'm the DIG's wife. He's like, yes, ma'am, I can see this is the official vehicle. So I totally respect your position. But the issue is that we have to cross check the vehicle because this is an order that has come from above. So she's like, don't tell me what orders are. And he was like, yes, ma'am, I really apologize if it is hurting you, but it's just a 2 minutes exercise. We trust you, but what if someone, like while you were away from the vehicle, would have planted some drug? So let us just cross check it because this will be considered as the safest vehicle. He gave all explanation, but she did not pay any attention. What happened was that once the exercise was completed and he went back to his duty. So this woman, she complained to her husband, the DIG, that there is this young officer who was trying to underestimate me. He was trying to show off that he knows the rules and regulation, and he was kind of he like rude to me. because he tried to search the vehicle and he doubted me when this operation was going on to search all the vehicles associated with carrying a drug cartel. So that was so improper, and I want that you actually teach him a lesson, that he always respects and regards that who all ought to be respected, and how hierarchy needs to be respected at all times. So the husband, like a fool, he accepted, and what he did was he suspended this young officer on some false charges. So what happened was this officer challenged the false charges before like Home Ministry, and he wrote a detailed report to Home Ministry saying that he is free of any kind of guilt or any kind of mistake, and he has been falsely implicated. So when inquiry was set up, it was found out that yes, the DIG had falsely fabricated a case, and he got trapped in that problem, and it was basically a problem associated with this given response that had come. So when all that was like expressed, what was found out was that this boy, when he was stuck up in that specific situation, you can see that this boy, he was like he was found out like free from any kind of guilty, any kind of mistake. And what happened was that this boy was reinstated back to his position, and it was the DIG who was suspended. So why was the DIG suspended? This, any group of people, any person who is valuing, who is giving importance to privileges, the privileges that is coming from the post position, okay, above the principles, above the, we can consider the values that the person has to enshrine, loses both, loses the importance of both the given possibilities. Okay, so that's what the topic says. If we connect it with, so I hope all of you are able to understand this, right? Yes, the idea of nishkama karma is ignored. Very good. Like XY, as you are able to suggest that, right? So in this given topic, even you could, like, when you are substantiating the content, you can always see like caste system, as it became closed and rigid, it started glorifying the privileges above the principles on the basis of which Varna system existed. So the purpose of the Varna system was to create bifurcation related to work, that everyone is like, doing their own work diligently as per their occupational status. Anyone could do any work, and anyone who was expert in their work was the person who was like we can consider any person who is an expert in the work should be getting like an opportunity, right? That person ought to be getting an opportunity associated with the work that they perform. And that's why the Varna system was initially an open system. And another thing was that the Varna system was based on three gunas: the sattva, the rajas, and the tamas. That is associated with also the chapter of attitude. The different individuals can possess different attitudes. So people having sattva guna will be like trustworthy, loyal, honest. They will be people of integrity, and they will be wisdom, people full of wisdom, wise people. Okay. Similarly, rajas people who will be also like who will be, we can consider, associated with luxury, who will be associated with bravery, courage, fortitude. And then the third, tamas, was associated with people who are lazy, people who procrastinate or delay work, people who always want some or the other kind of, we can say, carnal pleasure or pleasure of the, we can say, senses. Like such a person will love to eat a lot, sleep a lot, like like the possibilities associated with, we can see, delaying the work, procrastinating the work. And we can see in the Varna system, it was considered people are born in different combinations, and the values that dominate, the gunas that dominate, leads to the characteristic or the personality of that person. So a person that values privileges, so a person who will be indulging in tamas guna will be valuing the privilege above the principle which the person needs to perform as per their duty. So such a person will have a tendency to lose both. And that is one of the reasons you can consider the decline of caste system, because a lot of people who got associated with different positions by birth were unable to justify their position, and which led to like creative dissatisfaction, which led to systematic dissatisfaction, which, and when you are not an empowered one, when you are not a skilled one, and then you try to exploit others, okay, then the nature of dissatisfaction grows multifold. And in that situation, the tendency to rebel or question also grows multifold. Okay, so you can connect with this. Now, this Varna system is similar to Plato's classification of society. No, not really, not completely, not completely. But you can consider like if you are thinking of like king, philosopher, king, and army and citizen, and courage, like you are connecting it with wisdom, courage, and fortitude, and when you are connecting it with temperance, then yes, the three gunas in that segment, if you're connecting it, yes, many a time it is considered that Plato's concept is quite similar to that of Indian version of three gunas. Yes, that is there. But when we are talking about like the details of the three gunas with respect to caste system, then it is little different, because Plato talked about the wise one becoming the king. Okay, whereas in India we could see the component of wisdom was associated with Brahmins. The king was supposed to be a combination of sattvic and rajas gun. Okay, the Vaishyas were supposed to be combination of rajas and tamas gun, and Shudras were supposed to possess the tamas gun. So that's why the combination is slightly different. That's why I said it's not completely similar, but in the first glimpse, it will sound quite similar. Okay, so the combination. Anyway, what I implied to say that the privileges and principles were somewhere lost, associated with those individuals who were a part of the closed patterns of caste system. Okay, or and how the articulation of injustice took place. Okay, so you can just connect with that. Oh yes, the Super 30 dialogue, Raja ka beta Raja nahi banega. Okay, so that is, yes, associated with Plato's ideology, definitely. So though we are very modern, but still there exist people who, like, yes, they want to sustain. So when we are talking about privileges, privileges connected with hierarchy principle, and privilege can come due to hierarchy. What is hierarchy? So formal post and positions, when they give you privileges coming from formal posts and positions. Okay, and it can, privileges can also come from stratification. Stratification, stratification can be based on like informal status, and that can be associated with, we can say, like caste, religion, region, gender. Okay, so someone who is glorifying their privileges more than the principles, like humanitarian principles. So think about what kind of principles are essential for humanity and list them. So if a person is giving more importance to their position, their privileges, such a person is who is compromising with the values for the sake of privileges. What kind of values? So recall all the broader human values. Okay, from compassion to, we can consider, integrity to accountability. Think of all of it. Okay, unbiased behavior. And if any of it is getting compromised, how the person would lose both in the system. So connected with bureaucracy, connected with politicians, connected with like, so politicians, when they abuse or misuse power, how over the time period people ousted them from power, how bureaucrats who have abused power, how they have been caught hold and they have been suspended. Okay, and why, again, like you can remember Santanam committee and all those committees which were encouraging to amend Article 311, so that other than suspension, removal is also possible. Post independence, we have hardly seen like many removals despite so many cases of corruption. So think about all of it. Okay, this Varna system is similar to Plato's classification. I hope all of you are understanding that why it is like not very similar to Plato's classification, though it looks like similar. Recently, Rahul Gandhi jailed due to lack of principles. Okay, but refrain from contemporary political examples, because you don't know who is evaluating your paper. You're writing against PM Modi or you're writing against Rahul Gandhi, and you don't know that your examiner, what kind of political ideology the person is sympathizing with, and the person is trying to see that beyond Rahul Gandhi what other slipshots, because that's showing non-partisan behavior is not there. You are having a partisan attitude. So the person will try to find similar faults related to your where else do you slip with your values, and all those areas will be encapsulated. 30 to 35 negative marks, penalty marks will be slapped, and you'll be like, hey, how come I got such less marks? That will be the reason. Okay, so just don't go ahead with any kind of partisan opinion. All right, can we use the examples given by me? Yes, yes, you can use them, that's perfectly fine. Okay, you don't have to get into individual glorification, so taking the name of officers is not necessary. Just recalling the incident briefly is fine. That can act as an anecdote which is starting the essay. So yes, that's also there. The conviction was on stay. So very true, Jhansi. Anyway, we are not getting into a political leader's conviction over here. Okay, what we are implying is, and it had nothing to do with this topic also, a political issue should not be dragged in such a topic at the moment. Okay, so current good or bad, any example won't work. Any current good or bad will work except political. Don't take politicians' name. Contemporary politicians' name should not be taken. The environment is too heated and too regimented. Don't fall a victim to it. All right. Be more apolitical, be more non-partisan, because that's the demand of the exam also. Fine. Are there any civil services values, any values for politicians? Yes. Basaiya, if you remember, there is a chapter dedicated to values or code of ethics for ministers given in your this book Subarao, which is given by Byju's. Read that. Okay. That's why when you read, it boosts, it encourages, it enriches the details of your preparation. Fine. Getting this. Reality does not conform to the ideal but confirms it. See this one. So reality does not conform to the ideal but confirms it. We have already discussed this. Okay, this. So we have sorry, not this. We have discussed this one, the above one. So you all can see the nature of questions. Ideal. What is the ideal? It is associated with values. So in this 2018, the core points which we can take out is values. Another area which we can take out is conscience. Okay, so conscience or consciousness. We can take out another point is knowledge, and another point we can take out is love. Right? Next. 2019, section A. Wisdom finds truth. Another keyword, truth. Wisdom. What is wisdom? So all of you know what is wisdom. Darshan, Dhyan, Karma leads to wisdom. I have shared it multiple times. So you collect facts, factual exploration when done, it leads to knowledge. When knowledge is introspected deep, it leads to wisdom. Yeah, so wisdom finds truth. Because when you introspect deep, when you contemplate deep, you try arriving to the truth. That's what. Right. So this is what you are supposed to do. Can I take the name of Pooja Singhal? Yes, she is a convicted criminal, so you can take her name. Okay. Writing is not visible. Payal, please refresh. From my side, things are fine. Wise is she who knows she doesn't know. Yes, so very true. That's also there. And that is something which we all can connect with Plato and Aristotle, right? Because Plato is the one who's documenting the facts, and Socrates is the one who's giving the term, and Aristotle is the one who's following Plato. So all the three thinkers somewhere in consonance. So Socrates is the person who spoke of it for the first time. That a wise is the one who knows that he knows nothing. Because until and unless you are aware of this fact that there is so much of deficiency. Remember, I discussed this term and I shared this insight with all of you that every time you visit a library, you're so overwhelmed. If you see the nature of books, the diversity of books, and how little you know, how little. It is then that you realize, I mean, still I know which sections of my school library I could never touch, I could never read. In my college, which sections of my college library I could never check. And library was one of the most, I would say, sought after areas. My school library was huge. I mean, compared to that, college library was slightly smaller. And post graduation also, the library was decent enough. Uh, University library was amazing, rich with books. Okay, so that is something which you realize how little you know when you are seeing the world of books and so much lying. So that's something which, like, stay hungry, stay foolish. So very true. Both is good for mental and physical health. So can we quote a poem of writers? Yes, you can. You can, Shivam. 4 5 lines is perfectly fine. So values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. Do you understand this term, this topic? Values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. Is everyone understanding this? Yeah. It is not what humanity is. What we are living in present may not be guided with value. So living in present. Okay. So what we are living in present may not be guided, may not be guided. So may not be guided by values. And what humanity ought to be is aspiration. What should we aspire to be? So we should aspire to be laced with values. So that's something which you all can connect. Yes. Deduction, the method of deduction was what Socrates used. He helped people to deduce the fact. Anyway, so value determines the essence of humanity. Yes, that's also there. Again, best for an individual is not necessarily best for the society. Can you think of examples? Yes, people. I think this is also something which majority of you can deal with. 2019 passages were still easy. Yes, can you deal with this one? Best for an individual is not necessarily best for a society. Okay, so alcohol. Okay, alcohol. So sale of alcohol can be good for the society, but it is not good for the individual. Okay, so sale of alcohol. Something else? So corruption. Yes. So corruption can be good for an individual, but may not be good for the society. Okay, luxury items. Luxury items is contestable one because it can be good for the like individual is experiencing the luxury and society is gaining profit. Okay, nepotism, favoritism. So nepotism, favoritism. What else? What else? Can we connect? Hitler. Okay, all right. What else can we connect? Family-centric morals. Okay, something else. Debate and everyone is necessary. Okay, dowry. Okay, very good. Dowry. Freebies. I can give an insight related to freebies. Okay, not paying taxes. So that's a form of corruption. There are different types of corruption. Yes. Racism. Okay. Let's call it slavery here. So this crime, all forms of crime, corruption, crime, all forms of deviance, you can think of it. Okay. So I think you all are understanding this topic. Best for an individual is not necessarily best for a society. Okay, an individual is demanding right to freedom of speech, but that speech is causing rioting. Okay, riots in a society. In that situation, that freedom of speech may be good for the individual, but not in the larger interest of the society. So we need to balance. So here you can write, or you can write a balance between fundamental rights. Okay, I speak fast and then. So you can also discuss balance between fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Okay. So all of you can connect with this given dimension, right? You can keep these are just examples. You can keep enlisting the examples further, and you can keep substantiating the insight. Again, courage to accept and dedication to improve are two keys to success. We have discussed the terms courage, dedication associated with highest form of commitment. So many examples inside. I hope you can deal it with the ethics paper content, right? Yes, very good. Freedom of movement in COVID, that can also be connected. So freedom of movement during COVID. So any form of deviant act, crime, whether it is terrorism or anything, we just talk about it. Yes. So foundational values of civil services, you can see is making a glimpse over here. Component of wisdom and knowledge. In previous slide, we also see here knowledge was given. So knowledge, wisdom, we can now consolidate. Civil services values. Now you can see what topics are like reflect. You can see that, right? We can enlist the topic like truth. So 2018 plus 2019. If we are trying to identify the trend analysis, this is what we all can see, right? So after seeing this, I hope all of you can connect what topics needs to be prioritized. We'll get back to this again. See this section 8, 2020. Now is the real game changer possibility. From here further moving ahead, 2021 will become all the more dense. So life is a long journey between human being and being humane. Do you understand this? Life, again the topic is related to life. Being human being to being humane. Human being is what? The biological being. And moving from biological existence to ethical existence. Journey between biological existence to ethical existence is a long journey. So here you can recall the theory of moral development, which I had discussed. Remember, who gave theory of moral development? Do you all remember? Lawrence Kohlberg, yeah? Heinz Dilemma, yes, and a lot of other segments that were discussed. So life is a long journey between human being, our biological existence, versus the ethical existence that we aspire to have. And that's why, remember, in this theory of moral development, I discussed majority of the people's development pause. It stops at level 4. Level 5, when people are seeing the larger picture, when they are guided by their own sense of compassion and values. And at level 6, people are finding out of box solutions for the society. They are completely guided by their own values. Okay, and thus they can also create new solutions for the society, like Martin Luther King, like Nelson Mandela, like Gandhi. They shaped humanity. So all that. So from human being to being human, and you can start it with inquiry from ancient times, how philosophers, we can say religious communities, different type of philosophies, they tried to find solution to human crisis, and that is something which was guiding us from human being to being human. Yesterday, after class, when I went home, before sleeping, I was watching a movie in which, there is a parent and something happened to the parent, and I saw, and I was so deeply affected. And then I started recalling my parents. It's like, oh, when they call up, generally one of them is on the phone. So, and it's mostly my mother. So my father will be saying something from the background. I'll just listen. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'll respond. I was like, oh God, why am I not talking to my father daily? And or someday, my mother is very prompt. She's like, come what me, I'll talk to my children wherever they are. So that it used to become sometimes tricky, especially when I went to University of Kashmir, and when during flood, the lines had got gone off, or suppose I'm traveling internationally, and then in that situation, sometimes there are long flights and there is no connectivity. So those are the times only when she is compromising and adjusting as per my suitability. But on an average, very particular about taking calls. So when we are speaking of this given dimension, human being and being humane, okay. So with respect to this, we all connect this given idea that, when I was talking about my parents, I suddenly was overwhelmed. And just imagine the situation. I was overwhelmed, thinking that, oh my God, I cannot even imagine losing my parents. So why am I lazy about not talking to them daily? And there will be, because old age is catching up, and there will be a day when probably they won't be there. If I'm not there for the first one to go, then that's not a problem. But if either of them is not there, it will come as a massive blow to my heart. I cannot really take it, even at this age. I don't know how kids cope up with the loss of parents, and how they gain that strength in their personality. So I was just thinking of all that, and then while I was thinking, I was sulking, I was also crying, I was also thinking, but Buddha has said that death is inevitable. The pain is inevitable. Disease is inevitable. Pain is the truth of human life. Okay, dukh hi sabse hai. That is the only thing which is still constant. The pain and pleasure, they will just keep coming and going in our life. We have to learn how to respond to it more effectively in a more balanced manner. And when I reflected upon that, I was like, so very true. And probably I need to learn how to process such emotions, whereby I'm not getting too over attached. Yes, sadness is inevitable, as Buddha had said. That for example, when he lost his favorite disciple, he was his disciple said, Buddha or Tathagat, you have attained nirvana. So don't you feel sad when you see that your favorite disciple is gone? It's like, yeah, I mean, emotions will come. They will affect your heart. They will affect your existence. You being sad at the time you're like in the human garb, being sad is inevitable. You will get affected by emotion. But when you attain that wisdom, you know how to process that emotion. You know how to respond to that emotion. So it's not that you will not get affected by anger, sadness, happiness. All this will affect you. It will not only affect you emotionally, it will also affect you physically. There will be physical responses to these kind of emotions. But we have to understand the futility of these emotions, the impermanence of these emotions. And we have to observe these emotions, how they come and go. And what really remains, okay, is the truth that we have to experience. And that is something which is going to take us to the state of equanimity, the state of balance, right? I hope all of you can understand this, right? So, um, overthinking is good or bad? Well, Neetu, I hope you would have attended the ethics class. Then you would have understood that there is nothing like overthinking. And it is only thinking which has led to innovations in the world of philosophy and science. And that is how you are able to text me, because someone was ready to think beyond what is existing, beyond the physical material existence. And that's why you are having a solution to text me in time in a live session. So, what is overthinking? The idea of overthinking you need to understand. So, if you're like leading to a loop of thought, that's not problematic till the time you're observing your thought. And along with observation of your thought, you're constantly critically analyzing. That's not a problematic thing. Okay. Only when people get into a loop of depression, or they are like over harping on an issue whereby they are unable to balance their thought process. Imbalance any day is nonsensical. Imbalance any day is torturous. Imbalance any day will be leading to death or decay or disease. So I hope Neetu, you're understanding how to reflect upon that dimension. Okay. So Dheeraj, the next ethics class I had announced it. I repeat it once again. Coming, not this one. Next Saturday, Sunday. Okay, weekend match. That will be 12th and 13th of August onwards. Every weekend. It will be more like a marathon session. Okay. Now, so fourth be like Sadhani में भी कयामत की अदा होगी. Okay, all right. So I hope all of you are understanding this. Human being to be human, and I hope you have a lot of segments associated with माँ मुझे भी मनुष्य बना दो. Wow, Abhishek. Yes, Swami Vivekananda had spoken that, and you are able to connect with it. Amazing. In philosophical as well as other essays, can we write about Prophet Muhammad? Yes, you can. You can talk about Islamic scholars. You can take insights from Bible. You can take insights from Quran. You can take insights from Gita. Keep it little balanced. Okay, when you are quoting, like don't be only associated with one segment. Try to bring in balance of philosophers and thinkers. Okay, so that when the person is reading, the person sounds scholarly, not aware of one religion and not other ideas or perspectives. So try to make the essay scholarly. Okay, not religious. Whenever you are quoting religion, that is something which I can advise to all of you. Those scholarly insights, philosophical breakthroughs do come from religion, and we have quoted it heavily in the ethics class as well. All right. So when I was discussing idea of like goodness, I quoted Quran. When I was discussing about the idea of jihad, I quoted Quran. So that's how you are able to discuss. So yes. So Swami the Jagah I Vena Bhikhari. All right, Sakib. So now, as all of you are getting motivated to interpret, mindful manifesto is the catalyst to tranquil self. We discussed it on day one. Remember, day one we discussed it when we were talking about to understand the topic in letter and spirit. So I hope all of you are able to connect with this. Yeah. Okay. After this, ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sink because of water that gets into them. How to decode this topic, people? How to decode this given topic? Yes. Ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sink. So the idea of sinking, the ships sink because the water gets into them. So what is a ship and what is water? So water, we can consider challenges which are external to the system. External to the system. So challenges external to the system. And as the challenges they enter into the system, they can create like damage, rupture, depression. Okay, any such word you can connect. Now, when we are discussing about this, what is ship and what is water? Lotus bloom in muddy water. Agreed, but here we are discussing not about lotus, mondu. We are discussing about ships. What can you connect ships with? People are not born corrupt, but external environment makes them corrupt. Okay, people don't affect problems. Ship. What can you connect ship with? Ghar bhedi. Okay, bad thing is this. See, this is the power of. Very good, Abhishek. You are moving steadily. Very good, feminine. Bit by bit. Santosh. Okay, all right. See. Do you remember in brain mapping when we were discussing about the segments, there was something associated with levels? Remember levels? And under levels we discussed individual, family, region, organization, national, international. Remember all that? Yeah. So connect it with this area. Ships. If I connect the idea of ships with individual. So individual, when we are talking about it, so individual, family, okay, connect it with like let's say organization, region, nation, state, that is country, world, and now identify their water. What is water for them? See, and when you are discussing about water, simultaneously, water is what? All the challenges associated with them. Right. And in this given process, you can connect types of individual, types of family, types of organization, types of region, types of nation state, like not world, definitely not world, and how every type will have a different type of challenge, right? Connect it with also dimensions. This is how you build the content. Connect it with dimensions. So for individual, what can be the economic challenge? What can be the cultural challenge? What can be the political challenge? What can be the environmental challenge? Right? What can be the psychological challenge? Think about it. Again, with respect to quotient, what can be the challenge with respect to physical development of physical quotient of an individual, intellectual quotient of an individual, emotional quotient of an individual? Challenge. Is everyone able to understand how to build the content? How the methods that have been trained in the past are helpful to build and recall the content in the present? Huh? So all those students who are struggling with ethical essays or philosophical essays, oh my God, I'm feeling so jittery. Now you must be feeling little confident that yes, if I am able to recall from GS all the 4 papers, and if I'm able to first understand the topic thoroughly, after understanding the topic thoroughly, am I able to pick the core areas which have to be played, and whether I'm able to bifurcate those areas, open the fan, open the multidimensional aspect of the topic, I'll be able to build upon the essence of the topic. Yes? Okay. So yes, you can think of like challenges of nuclear family, challenges of joint family, challenges of family living in post-industrial society, also called isolated nuclear family, where parents are hustling for their own career, job, their own like aspirations of life. Child is hustling for his or her own aspiration to life. So the challenge is empathy and understanding and sense of connectivity in the family. Because everyone is busy with their own like segments. So think about so many things. Oh, there's so much, right? Again, the water, if we are thinking it politically, if an individual abuses or misuses political rights, what happens? How that water creates a problem. So this idea of water, till the time we are aware that this problem exists in society, and we are empowering ourselves that with specific values, ideals, so that those problems do not enter our system, our existence, our family, our society, our organization, our region, our country, or our world, we are able to save ourselves. But the moment we fail to take care of it. It is then that sinking can happen. For the individuals decline, the family values decline, and disintegration of family organization. Okay, region, nation states, umpteen examples, umpteen segments. Okay. Yes, you can think of vulnerable sections also, not child level census. You can think of vulnerable sections. In vulnerable sections, individual can be thought from the perspective of gender, can be thought from the perspective of caste, religion, race, age. Getting it? Okay. Can I code that? What do you want to code, Shruti? What encoding do you want to do in this? So for recalling the content, when we are talking about it, recalling the content, this is how you like push it up, you surface it up. So first memorize the topic. After memorizing the topic, like chew it so much that the meaning starts opening. Ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships do not sink. Who is this ship? Who is this idea ship? What is this idea ship? Is it an individual, the person, family? So structure. That's why it is important to remember the brain mapping sheet. I hope all of you are able to connect. Yeah. So that's what. What could be the introduction of your topic as per your choice, Nikhil? As per your choice. You can quote some fact which is associated with demise of a country or an organization or a body. You can quote a fact associated with, sorry, not a fact. You can quote a quotation associated with corruption. You can start the let's say essay from raising questions, different scenarios, and what is common about them, and then discuss that the commonality is the water or the challenge which entered in these individuals. So different scenarios you quoted, raising a question towards the end. What is common in all these patterns of we can say devastation or the negative consequences which have been discussed in the above cases, and then you are responding like that. So multiple types of introduction can be started. Yes, it can be started from a conversation as well. Two individuals are discussing about the demise of anything, an individual, or organization, a country, the world. They are reflecting why is the world going haywire? What are the problems? Okay, so like that also you can think. I think I have been able to at least trigger the process of thinking. You all are suddenly shaking with a lot of points and ideas, and your brain is constantly trying to connect your dots. Okay, the process must have started. Yes, Rome was neither built or lost in a day. Okay. So as the process has begun, let us take this process to the next topic. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. What should we write in this essay regarding its meaning or about ship? Oh God. Payal, do you really think that the topic is talking about ship? Are you going to write about ship building exercise? How ships are made? And what are the constituent elements of a ship? Of course, the topic is given over here as an analogy, as we can say a phrasal expression, where ship is indicative of, we can say, other bodies, institutions, individuals, etc. That's how proverbs and phrases come into existence. So this is quite an immature question. Learn to connect with the level at which UPSC is asking the question. I can understand. You might be a 19, 20-year-old kid who has never ever seen such sentences or never ever has thought over such sentences. So such mistakes can happen. That what should I write? Should I write about sheep and water? Or should I write about what is the symbolic reflection of a ship? This kind of inquiry can happen. I do not discourage this inquiry, but what I say is this is quite immature in inquiry. Learn how to grow. That yes, definitely. What will UPSC do by asking a question on ship? The purpose of selecting an officer is not for a shipbuilding yard. So why will I have to write about ships? I will have to write about what is the symbolic relevance of that topic. I hope you are understanding that. Yeah. Without challenges, there is no chance of improvement. So why damaging? Yeah, so very true. So without challenges, see, when you are able to reaffirm yourself, a ship is able to move ahead only when water is there. So you also have to talk about purpose of water. Purpose of water. Is the purpose of water always negative, or can it be also positive? Is it always negative? The problems, the challenges, is it always negative, or can it also be positive? So as Kabir Das said, Nindak niyare rakhiye, angan tuti chhawaye, bin pani sabun bina, निर्मल करे सुधारे. So keep your critique close to you, because when a critique is close to you, without any soap and water, you are able to cleanse your environment, your possibilities, and your we can say strengths are like further getting enhanced or strengthened. That's what he implied by the given quotation. So who is a critic? A critic is like water. If you believe what the critic is saying, you lose confidence. You will lose like capability to get empowered. But if you are listening to the critic, if you are taking the criticism like a pinch of salt and you are working towards self-reformation, you are able to bring about a breakthrough, right? India will sink no matter how many neighboring enemies are there. It can sink if its own people go for a civil war and internal conflict. Yes, Jeetu. Yes. People explain point. Please explain point number 2 once more. Point number 2. Which point number 2? There are so many points over here. Individual, family. Are you talking family? Are you talking cultural? What is it that you are asking, Saloni? And if you are asking about mindful manifesto is a catalyst for tranquil self, then the answer is revisit lecture 1. I'm not going to repeat lecture 1. Essence of mindful manifesto is the catalyst to tranquil self. If you want that, so let not 99% of the class suffer because of 1%. Okay, just because you were not attentive or absent or you forgot the first lecture, it is advisable revisit the first lecture towards the like end of the lecture. Okay, you will find while choosing the topic, when we choose a topic, memorizing it in letter and spirit is important. I had discussed, and there I had taken this as a last example of the lecture. So last half an hour, somewhere you will find this discussion. Go through it. All right. Now, so and this is how I protect and save the rest of you from repetition of the content, so that we can build upon fresh ideas and insights. Okay. So yes, you can also think of these quotations. Very good, Shaimil. Shaimil is sharing that पानी बड़े नाव में, घर में बड़े दाम, दो हाथ उलीचिए, यही सियानो काम. That is, excess of water must be removed from the ship and excess of wealth from the home. So very true. Okay, that's why you see, if you are really affluent, you are supposed to give your children like pocket money, and they should earn it with hard work, so that they never forget that money does not come easy, and one needs to work towards it, to earn it, to get that position and that power and that affluence. Okay, so yes, that's so very true, Shaiman. And so water, when we are talking about water, does water have a purpose? So yes, water has a positive purpose also. It makes you aware of the strengths and weaknesses. It prepares you better. It encourages consciousness or a conscious state of existing. Okay, and it also saves the given possibility. When we are talking about water, we can also connect with this given idea that it also strengthens the possibility associated with like we can consider what kind of potential threats can happen in the future and how we can prepare ourselves beforehand. Okay, I hope all of you are understanding this. I appreciate all those students who are sending like quotations of different languages, and you're sharing the translation of it as well. I appreciate all of it. Okay, so all the examples, all the translations that all of you are giving, I really appreciate the effort and your capability to think deep now. So that's amazing. Saloni, I hope you're understanding this. Okay, you're understanding this, and most importantly, you're understanding that if some other student would have done the same for you, that you have attended this part, like ships do not sink, and suppose in the 6th lecture someone says, ma'am, please explain ships do not sink, and you have listened to the explanation, like folded hands, you'll be thinking, nahi nahi ma'am, mat samjhayega, we have already understood. So, or should I take a washroom break? That is the tendency that happens. Okay, so it is not specifically for you, it is for every other student. If something has been discussed in great detail, right now, if someone says, ma'am, please give a brief glimpse about what is brain mapping, so I'll be like, please attend lecture 2. Lecture 2 discusses entirely about brainstorming and brain mapping. Okay, so that is like saving everyone from any kind of garbage discussion, any kind of repetitive discussion. Let the discussion be thought-provoking and creative at all times for everyone. Okay, so I appreciate everyone who has come up with amazing examples, solutions. Okay, So translated quotation, Sakib, you can always identify a lot of a lot of quotations. There's no end to quotation. Topic will differ, so will the quotation. Okay, so there's no end to quotations. With the change of the topic, quotes can differ. So focus on understanding the topic and identifying the core important topics, and then preparing a list. So what is problem? So when you are overcoming the challenge, what are you guided by? How do you overcome challenges? By finding the values and the strengths. So indirectly, the component of values will come in every topic. You will see that. Again, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So you'll find it, Kaushik, on day 6 as well as aaj bhi kuch hai kya? Maybe let me see, because I have like quoted. We are spinning already the essay. So I will show you, Kaushik, when you are like struggling with this, you will find that how toppers write on the day 6 material. You'll find some glimpse of how toppers do write, and also on Telegram you'll find readily available. But please, before following your topper, see the marks. See the marks, how much the person has got. Just because someone is all India under 50 or under 100 does not mean the essay has also been qualitatively good or the best quality. It can be very average. Someone getting 128 in essay can give a lecture on how to get good marks just because the person is like all India under 50. The such sad situations also I've seen happening. Okay. Yes, APJ Abdul Kalam, for simplicity, very good, Jhansi. So Brahminism was fading due to complications. Buddhism developed. Very good, Ravi, very good. So the concept of Artha from Vedas, which tells us to earn enough to lead a simple and satisfied life. So very true, Abhishek. Very good, very good. Sudha Murthy, yes, you can quote her. Sardar Patel, Mahatma Gandhi, yes, yes, yes. Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, you can think of it. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. You can take current examples, like you can see Mark Zuckerberg, always wearing a grey clothes, grey t-shirt. Like you can recall Mr. Cook, okay, Tim Cook. You can recall Jack Ma to a certain extent. You can recall Warren Buffett, very simplistic living. Ratan Tata, very simplistic living. Okay, so simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Recall all sages from ancient India, philosophers from the world. So philosophers, sages across the world, across India, you will find one thing common. They have a very simplistic lifestyle. Bare minimum possessions, bare minimum life, bare minimum segments. You know, when I was your age and I was thinking that, oh, the day I earn, I'll do this, that. When I started earning, I started on a good note, on a healthy note, and I started making decent living. And then started the cycle of consumerism, whereby my cousins, my friends, everyone who was into the pattern of consumerism, they were suggesting goods and services and the kind of qualitative indulgence that ought to be there. And there were times when I was also into conspicuous consumption. The term conspicuous consumption is associated with what? When we are purchasing luxury goods and very expensive goods which are unnecessary. Okay, so I also got into that mode. It took me, as 2013 ethics paper will come, it was announced. 2014, I started teaching. And as not only these words which we are exposed to, these words were not only just mere words that I was reading. When I started reflecting while teaching, because see, teaching is a two-way process. You yourself are a student, whereby what you speak, you are alert about it, what you are speaking and how it might be impacting a child. And as Gandhi, you remember the Jaggery experiment, that when he had to inspire a child, he not to eat jaggery because it is unhealthy. When the grandmother got the child, he said, get the child after a week. And he discontinued eating jaggery, and then he said the same. And the grandmother was like, why did you take so much of time? To which he said that because I myself was addicted to eat jaggery after food. How could I advise something to a child which I was not following? So the same thing. When in the process of teaching, I started reflecting the alertness, the consciousness, that these values that I'm talking, am I following all these values in my day-to-day life? And when those moral inquiries started, okay, the greater the length and breadth of examples, perceptions, what's happening, since when all these possibilities are happening in the society, what kind of world am I living in, this globalized world, this world which is associated with the components of status, power, and class, and how the components of status, power, and class needs to be like, needs to be questioned, and wisdom should prevail at all time. And for the sake of wisdom, we need to simplify the concept. Remember, Einstein said that if you can't explain a concept to a 12-year-old child or a standard 5 kid, something like that, he said, then it means you don't know the concept. Simplicity. If you really know a concept to the finest detail, you can simplify it to the ultimate level. Um, my brother had encouraged me to watch an anime, Dr. Stone. Okay, he is an army officer. Don't consider him as a kid. Okay, so, and he's a very senior army officer. So he is also into anime, and that is how, like, 2 years back, all my cousins pushed me. Oh, Didi, you're not watching this. There's something major missing in your life. So I realized your generation is watching anime. So I should get exposed to what kind of entertainment you people are getting exposed to, so that when I give examples, it is very local and it is as close as your heart, and you can connect with it, that, oh yes, this is something which I know. So your examples coming your way. So I watched this Dr. Stone, and in Dr. Stone, I realized that science experiments were simplified, and like for reviving the human civilization, how the simplicity in terms of understanding and breaking open science in a simplified manner and putting it into action is the real solution to, we can consider, what we are living. So yes, yes, I have watched Naruto and Shippuden, and no one will ask now, ma'am, have you watched this and that? Okay, I've watched quite a lot in past 2 years, but just sharing this. Simplicity is ultimate sophistication. In Dr. Stone, I saw that how the child broke open. He was a high school kid, and how he simplified the chemistry experiments, science experiments, and created a step forward for human civilization. So that was very breathtaking. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. All the science experiments, you see, like, start with this given possibility of making simple experiments and seeing the byproduct of it, and then manifesting it in different ways to lead to the progress of human, we can say, civilization. So ultimate sophistication, what is ultimate sophistication? Sophistication is the complexity, right? So the complexity which human race has achieved, the complexity that we have achieved, whether in the world of philosophy, whether in the world of mind, whether in the world of, like, physical caliber, physical stretched limit, whether we are talking about the sophistication in terms of mental insight, ethical and value based insight, okay, whether we are talking about sophistication by simplifying the usage of science. Remember the first computer, 1970s, if you see the first computer, oh, huge, like in a complete room. And today, even your phone can function as a basic computer to a certain extent. A basic phone you're carrying in your pocket. And there can be a time where, as Nikola Tesla said, that there can be a time whereby you don't even need this device or gadget. You're just touching and you are able to create in any part of the world. You're connecting with the person on the basis of vibrations. So that vibration right now is getting facilitated by the gadget. There can be a possibility we know how to, in our fingers there can be chips or something like that, which is helping us to connect to a specific vibe, to a specific, we can say, rhythm, to a specific, we can say, fluctuation, okay, and we are able to connect certain sounds, certain uh, possibilities of connecting with individuals across the world. So many things can be created. Think, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So from Nikola Tesla's concept, which today is exercised at such a sophisticated level, to Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the airplane, right? So, but laws can't just be simple, they ought to be constricting. Ravi, first the law is simple, like, do not hurt another human being. And this simple philosophy will manifest itself in sophisticated laws. Isn't it, Ravi? So first there is a simple ideology or simple value which manifests itself. That is how code of ethics guides a lot of rules, regulations, laws. Last chapter, recall that. Ravi, can you connect with that? So laws are the sophisticated byproduct of simple values that have to be adhered to in the society. I hope you are able to connect with this, Ravi, right? That's great. That's great, Vartika. So yes, Dr. Ratan Tata, I have already given his example, Prashant. So I'm glad that all of you are able to connect with this topic as well. Let us head further. 2021. This is a very interesting topic. Let me see who is decoding it completely. All right, see this. The process of self discovery has now been technologically outsourced. Yes. How to break open? How to break open this given topic? Yes. First and foremost, what are we seeing? We are seeing our constitution is too legalistic. Yes, but the preamble to the constitution is very simple. Basaiya. And the preamble to the constitution, we can consider it as the soul, right? The DPSP, we can consider it as the basic frame which needs to be aspired to to achieve. And the DPSP, the preamble, they are so simplistic. Okay, now the process of self discovery has now been technologically outsourced. People, think about it. What is the process of self discovery? It's not self discovery. What is the process? Process. Reflect upon the term process. And then technologically outsourced. Later, technologically outsourced. First, process. That's how you'll need to learn how to break open the topic. Okay. So, process of self discovery. First, how have we carried forward the process of self discovery? Self discovery is what? Knowing one's true self, identifying one's true purpose, one's existence, and why the existence is there, right? Okay, yes. So, few of you have started giving the points. So, process of self discovery can be through meditation. Process of self discovery can be through yoga. Something more, people, more beyond yoga and meditation. Okay, introspection is done while meditating, right? Something more. Okay, so process of self discovery can also by service towards others. Service towards others. When we serve other people, we are able to discover our compassionate self. It is then that the humane side of us like emanates. Okay, reading good books, very good. So good books, anyone, your example, if it is getting missed, keep typing. Okay, so good books. After good books, yeah, dhyan is meditation, self analysis, education. Okay, education, fine, education. So what else is journaling? Okay, journaling. When you maintain a journal or a diary, those who don't understand journaling. Okay, what else? What else? Ma'am, a workaholic can be used. Workaholic will can be lost in work. Drawing inspiration. Okay, so inspiring people, inspiring philosophers, mentors, mentors. What else, people? Okay, very good. Traveling, traveling. Process of self discovery. How have human beings discovered themselves? Okay, in meditation, you can be doing cooking can become a meditation. Devotion, okay, devotion, fine. So devotion, religious devotion, that's the difference between meditation and devotion. Okay, so religious element gets into devotion, and when we are talking about the given possibility of, like, let's say meditation, it is a spiritual process, it is independent of a religion. Okay, it can be associated with music, dance, whatever is something else. By seeing miseries of others. Okay, observation, observation of reality or world. Okay, science, sports. Okay, everything is integrating you to focus. Something more. Process of self discovery. Okay, we can consider it with discipline. So discipline is something we can see is has been glorified even in yoga, right? So disciplining. Okay, by learning, curiosity. Okay, that's what observation of reality is, nothing but curiosity. Now, so I think I have quite a lot of points. Let us understand the explanation of the topic, right? I'm reading majority of the content. Okay, 99% of the content I'm able to read, because now the ticker is moving slow. All the students who are responding, I can see it slowly. Okay, now technologically outsourced. Start thinking about the given segment. questioning what I am doing. Okay, that's awareness. That is what is like awareness, observation of your own reality. Okay, so technologically outsourced, let us connect it with the given segments. Music and dance, can we see online platforms? Can we think of religious like devotion through again various like religious channels? We are getting exposed to traveling through various travel channels. Travel channels nowadays, they are also talking about uh, the component associated with metaverse. So travel channels, maybe in future through metaverse, if one could travel. Have you seen the new product of Apple, that case, what is it called, noise or something like that? Yeah, the VR set kind of thing. Yes, so that is so breathtaking. The AR glass. Okay, yes. Virtual reality, it is associated with that. If you actually see the features and properties of it, tremendous. It's going to open new possibilities. Anyway, inspiring philosophers and mentors, you can be guided online, right? Guided online through their courses. They'll run their online courses. For disciplining, we can have a lot of apps. Like for example, you can recall Healthify. You can see like journaling also. This like online apps are there to maintain journal. For education also, good books, we have audio books, right? So we have audio books, we also have e-books. Service towards others, you can do charity online. There are now online workshops for meditation, right? So yoga, we have online classes, right? Observation of the reality, we are getting this now. Yes, podcast, crowdfunding, all that, right? So all of you are able to see a lot of examples. Reflect upon this statement once again. Can there be any other segment which you want to add beyond this? The process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. Chew the topic. Is there any segment which we are missing out? I want all of you to highlight that segment. I don't want to say that. Yes, what is it that you all can see that is beyond? Okay, some people are pointing now. What is the segment of now? Now means now, in present times, it is getting outsourced. That's not an issue. Humanoid robotics, yes, you can give all those examples. Artificial intelligence, you can give those examples if you can connect it with self-discovery. Okay. You cannot write about humanoid robotics just because you know the word. You have to write it by connecting it to self-discovery. So every topic has to be connected to what is being asked. Is outsourced a problem, Ravi? Outsourcing is affecting the natural process, challenge the statement. Okay, Ashna, very good. So how would you do that? How would you do that? Yes, people. I'm still waiting someone to decode this topic. This is an open challenge for all. Realizing we are souls, not body, according to Gita. Okay, something more, something more. What is the delimitation of this topic? What is the delimitation of this topic? Not a single student? Uh-huh. Fine. Let me bring the context. Now, after a few minutes, if someone is giving, I can't help. See this. Has now been. Has now been is problematic. Why? It is too deterministic. If it was written, the process of self-discovery can be, then it would have been correct. Can be technologically outsourced. The problem right now, which all of you are facing, is you are not memorizing the topic. Because if you memorize the topic, you will not see words as independent, isolated chunks. Here you are getting a debatable topic, and majority of you are unable to see that it's a debatable topic. Okay, is a massive concern. Right? It is a debatable topic. And how come no one spoke of it? How come? No one hyphenated this. When I am saying, then you're like, oh, yes, 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 process of self-discovery. Even today, people go by traditional methods like pilgrimage, reading the books, the hard copy books, meditating. Okay. We are talking about meditative pods, but that is a future aspiration. Elon Musk is talking about neural link, but that's a future possibility, right? Has now been is too deterministic that it has already been done, but it's not that it has already been done. There are traditional methods which are still existing, right? All of you can connect. So, who is going to talk about debatable essays? What's wrong? Why are you still reading in a flimsy, compartmentalized manner? I could have picked this topic. See, 2018, two philosophical topics I had picked. Could I not pick this one and discuss it yesterday when I was discussing debatable topics? I could easily do that. Why did I not do that? Because I left one in the kitty. That when I'll be discussing it, let me see how many are able to discover. That yesterday we learned it, today let us apply the method. Right? Don't be spoon fed. Don't be spoon fed. Okay? That every time the teacher is hinting and explaining, okay? So, as I shared, this is a debatable topic, and you should have identified by just seeing the helping verb, has now been. Do not ignore these simple words also. They have a definite impact on the content creation of the essay, right? Moving further ahead. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. Let me give an example and all of you will understand this. Suppose there is this Jat guy. Okay. And suppose there is this Bengali guy. And the Bengali guy goes to the Jat guy and tells him, okay, they are working in an MNC in Gurgaon. Okay. So as they are working in an MNC in Gurgaon, this Bengali guy, he goes and he says that, oh, I know, you Jats are so rude. You are disrespectful to your mothers and sisters. And you use such abusive slangs also, all like sexist slangs associated with sexual body parts of women. So disrespectful. Or I just feel so challenged by seeing your culture. This is so disrespectful, the way you behave with your mothers and sisters. It's just not proper. Suppose. Okay. So in that given situation, the Jat guy, suppose he gets triggered, he gets activated. Ye kya bola? How dare you say this? That I'm disrespectful to my mother and my like sister. Do you know me better? Huh? And suppose picks his collar. And he's like, suppose he uses 2-3 slangs for him. Okay. And this time the slangs are again sexist. And says that I'll hit you so many number of times that you will not be able to realize your original version. Something like that. And giving him 2-3 like cuss words or slangs when we are talking about it. Okay. So suppose this situation happens. Okay. So this Bengali guy runs away and says that, Dekha, dekha, bola tha na, I told na that you are that kind of a guy. Now, with respect to this, yeah, I know Bengali boys don't do that. Have to just come up with some example in them. Thus, I'm giving this. Okay. So your perception of me is a reflection of you. Means what like let's say the Bengali guy is creating a perception about the Jat guy is associated with his level of empowerment. How empowered is the Bengali guy? It is his level of empowerment which will determine his opinion towards, like let's say, the Jat community. Okay. So the level of empowerment will determine the opinion towards the Jat community. So if he's saying, oh, you guys are very disrespectful towards your mothers and daughters, no, your sisters, no, I've seen that. So now this is showing that this boy is exposed to TV series, movies, okay, or a limited level of exposure to the Jat community. So he is creating an opinion which may not be true, which may be guided by bias or prejudice. Understanding that? So your perception of me, so your perception of me is a reflection of you. So whatever you are framing about me, the opinion you are framing about me is a reflection of you. It is not about me, who I am. It is associated with what kind of maturity you possess. What is your level of maturity? What is your level of exposure? Everyone, please first understand, then I'll read what you are suggesting, your explanation associated with this. Okay. So this is something, let us reflect upon this. So your perception of me is a reflection of you. So whatever opinions you have about me is less about who like you are, it is more about how I think. Okay, it's about my level of maturity. It is related to my level of exposure and awareness. Now next, my reaction to you is an awareness of me. Now how the Jat guy reacts is not associated with what Bengali guy said. This fellow's reaction is associated with his level of awareness. It's not associated with what is spoken. It is associated with his level of awareness. If the guy is like, let's say, using cuss words, so he's proving, he's validating what the Bengali guy said. So the Jat guy, the way he reacted, his reaction is associated with his personal level of awareness, his personal level of thought process. That the moment he is listening that, oh, we use cuss words related to mothers, sisters, sexist cuss words, slang, gali galoj. Okay. So the moment the person is listening that, oh, this is what he is saying, and if I use the same cuss word, I'll prove, I'll validate the point. Okay. So when you are aware, then what happens? There's another reaction that this person can possess. So suppose the Jat guy goes and holds the Bengali guy, okay, by the shoulder, and the Bengali guy, hey, don't hit me, don't beat me up, okay, and the Jat guy is like holding and saying, "Arey dost, what are you saying, my friend? When you are talking about this, that we don't respect our mothers or sisters, how about giving you an opportunity to know about our society? I can sense that the impact of social media, TV series, all these OTT platforms, these movies, they have damaged our reputation, damaged our opinion. That's so disrespectful. That's so, what to say? No problem. So see, just next weekend, it is my cousin sister's wedding. I am going, I have to arrange, do things. Why don't you also come along? Have a nice feast, get to know my parents, my sisters, my siblings, all my cousins. It will be so much of fun. So you come along, have a party, and let us like have fun. And then you develop an opinion whether we are truly disrespectful to our mothers and sisters or not. Then frame an opinion, then make a perception about me. So the Jat guy can have both the types of reaction. The reaction is less about what the Bengali guy said. The reaction is more about how matured you are, how developed or evolved you are. Okay. So our reactions are less about the outside world, or the, we can say, reactions or actions or behavior or thought of the outside world. It is more about how we have evolved in our inside world. Right? So we can associate with Krishna to learn how to behave in critical condition. Yes, yes, you can think of that. Payal, you can quote that also. People's preconceptions, comprehension, knowledge about my personality may define my personality for them. Yet this assumption is not really representing who I am. Yes, Neetu, that is what we are discussing. Okay. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Yes, that is also you can consider, because that will lead to faulty presumption and not let you get close to the wholesome idea of truth. Right? What you give comes back to you. Okay, something like that. But I hope all of you are getting the gist of the topic. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. Whatever perceptions, ideas, ideologies, thoughts you create is associated with your level of awareness and introspection. What you have been exposed to and how you have evolved with those ideas, how you have introspected or reflected upon those ideas to let your personality develop, to evolve. And my reaction to you is an awareness of me. So my reaction, my response, okay, my response to how, like, you would be behaving, how you would be living, is an awareness of me. So my response is guided by what? It is guided by my level of awareness, my level of introspection, my level of thinking. Okay. Can we connect with prejudice? Yes, it is associated with prejudices, it is associated with biases, stereotyping. We do it when our perceptions are not balanced, strong, and guided by truth. Okay. Now, philosophy of wantlessness is utopian, while materialism is a chimera. What is chimera? In this context, chimera is associated with Maya. When you are disillusioned by something. Okay. Yog Maya, I am reminded. Anyway, Yog Maya has nothing to do over here. Though in the world of philosophy, Indian philosophy, it is considered that we are all puppets in the hands of the Yog Maya. She creates illusions before all of us, and we get so charmed by those illusions that we believe it to be the truth, and we keep responding and reacting. And that is how we are trapped in the cycle of this world, cycle of birth and rebirth. And those intellectuals, sages, seers, who are able to break free from the charms of the Yogmaya and the illusions of the Yogmaya are able to see the truth. And those who are able to see the truth are the ones who are able to guide themselves to the right path as well as others accordingly. Anyway, philosophy of wantlessness is utopian. What does this mean? Philosophy, I know that seeing these topic, many of you must be feeling like fainting. When I see the topic, I feel like I'll just faint off. I cannot understand what is this level of question, right? So philosophy of wantlessness is utopian. It is considered that अनिच्छा की इच्छा भी तो एक इच्छा है. I'll simplify it. The desire to not have any desire is also a desire in itself. The desire to not have any desire is also a desire. I do not desire for anything. So that's also a desire, that I do not desire for anything. That's also a desire that you don't desire. Getting it? In the world of philosophy, if you delve deeper, that's what it implies. Okay. So philosophy of wantlessness is utopian. Why? Yes, it can be connected with Buddha's middle path. Agreed. Okay. So when we are talking about philosophy of wantlessness is utopian. See, I cannot connect it with Charvak, because Charvak, his idea of middle path was very different from the Buddha's idea of middle path. Though you can, like, all Indians binded by Maya. No. Like all Indians binded by Maya, no. I do not mean all Indians, Jadav. It is associated with majority of the people on this earth. You did not listen to me properly. I said Yog Maya charms everyone with illusions of life. And those who keep getting dissuaded, majority, remain there. I did say few philosophers, thinkers, and seers who are able to break free. So how can I say all? That is your interpretation, not my statement. Perception. You can understand. Just few minutes back, we were discussing this topic, your perception. It's not of me right now, it's related to what I spoke, my idea. Okay, is a reflection of how much you thought and how much you could reflect. Introspection. Anyway, so philosophy of wantlessness, it's so fun, so much of fun, no, that what we are discussing, we are able to think deep and we are able to connect it with our immediate reality, right? Ma'am, that means family is a chimera? No, family is not a chimera. That does not mean that. But you have to see them as biological beings, beings who are associated with you biologically, and responsibility towards those beings, which maintains order and harmony in the society. So having, along with the subjective emotion, also having an objective understanding of it, why it is needed, how it is needed. Okay, so that you are able to balance both objectivity and subjectivity in your personality. Santosh, that's the level at which you need to think. All right. So chimera is like when you are illusioned. Okay, chimera is illusioned. Sakib, it means illusions. Okay, so materialism is an illusion. Why? So Jadav, could you understand what I implied to say? Is that clear? Okay. So when we are talking about philosophy of wantlessness is utopian, what do we imply? We cannot completely become wantless. Even we can consider that even the greatest sage will at least, and who is on a penance, will at least need water, will need some container to fill the water, will need a place to sit, will need a place to, like, let's say, meditate, will need a, like, let's say, need some shade when it is raining, will need some kind of, like, some kind of support system, some food to eat. Jadav, you did not respond. Are you still connected with the session? Because that also happens sometimes. Like students, they get disillusioned. How come she said all? I never implied all. That's why I said the component associated with seers. And there's another thing. Students write their message and then they don't pay attention. So I hope he's there and he's connected. Anyway, So, philosophy of wantlessness is utopian. Everyone is able to connect. Yeah. So we cannot become completely wantless. There will be some basic minimal desires to bring balance to our human existence, to our life. Okay. And then materialism is a chimera. We were discussing about it. Conspicuous consumption, like indulging in a lot of material realities, insights, right? So that is something which we all can connect with. Okay. So, okay. No problem, Jadhav. That's perfectly fine. So, while materialism is a chimera, I hope all of you are able to connect with this. Materialism is a chimera because there's no end to material goods. Like, the idea of swanky houses. Imagine 20 years or 15 years back, the idea of smart, swanky, rich houses, the design, the internal decoration, they said that was different. Today it's different. The idea of fashion, it keeps changing. The idea of consumerism keeps changing. Which car is the best one? The idea keeps changing. Which technology or phone is the best one? Keeps changing. So that's something which we all can connect, right? So materialism is a chimera because there is no end to materialism. It's a massive illusion. Sakib, could you understand the meaning of chimera? Yes. So I think it means we have to stay between both of them. Yes, balance, equanimity, middle path, golden mean. So golden mean, Aristotle, middle path, like we can say Buddha. You can think of austerity connected to various thinkers, philosophers. That's what. Okay. So I think all of you have understood this. The real is rational and the rational is real. Okay. Utopian pragati is associated with an idealistic state which does not exist in reality. So any ideal or idealistic state which does not exist in reality is referred as the term utopian. Okay. Like for example, Marx's idea of communism is considered as a utopian idea because nowhere in any part of the world communism was realized. What was communism? A stateless society where there is no role of state. Everyone is producing as per their efforts, okay, working as per their efforts and taking as per their need. That was a utopian idea. Okay, too idealistic to be true, too good to be true. Just by having the names Communist Party of India or Communist Party of China does not make the state communist because you are having the state, you are having government. Okay, so communism was not realized in any part of the world. That's why it is considered as a utopian idea. So utopian is what? Too idealistic, too good to be true. It is ideal, it is perfect, but it is not believable on ground level. Got it? Now, so when we are talking about the real is rational and the rational is real, what does it imply? What is rational? Something which can be logically deduced. Logically deduced. Okay. Something that can be logically deduced. So the real is rational. The real is rational. So why the real is rational? So the real is rational because when we are talking about it, because anything that is objectively present before all of us, we all can connect that anything that is like objectively present before all of us, that is something which we all can connect with. We can consider is existing in reality. It is observable. So it is observable, understandable. Okay. So real is this. It is something which is true. Okay. So that is what real implies. So something which is observable, understandable, something which is true. So the real, whatever is real, whatever you consider as real, will be rationally explainable. Okay. So we can consider can be explained, can be explained logically, can be deduced logically, and whatever is logical, okay, whatever is logical will exist in reality. Okay, is, okay, so is exists. Exists in reality. That's how you are connected with it, which knows what is right, what is wrong. Okay, all right. Now, I'm giving you two topics to reflect upon as homework. Okay, is it a debatable essay? That's a very in-depth question. The real is rational. There can be a lot of things which may be in reality but cannot be rationally explained in scientific principles or spiritual ideas as well. So what you are saying, Basaiya, is not completely overruled. Okay, but if you have facts or dimensions to reflect, you can write it. You know, this concept was given by Hegel, but remember, you don't have to write Hegel. Hegel's idea is not what is the content of the essay. Okay, the content is not based on Hegel. If you know what Hegel said and in what reference he said, maybe one para, but not the entire essay. Okay, so the real is rational when we speak of it. So you see Heisenberg's principle of uncertainty, right? So the real is not always rationally explained. Okay, again, you can see scientific principles also change. So if you remember, yesterday I was discussing about shadow. Earlier, the idea of how shadows are formed was different. So the reality, we were not understanding it rationally. It is only when we delved deeper we could understand the rationale or the logic was something different. So that's why it can be debated. Nani. Okay, is it Kant? No, it is Hegel. It is Hegel, Jadav, when we speak of it. The statement was given by Hegel, as far as I can recall. Now, so I'm giving you two pieces to reflect upon. Is it fine if I give you two pieces to reflect upon? Like, can you just reflect upon two topics? Something which is like in semblance with these topics. Okay, and then we can reflect upon trend analysis. I've like discussed possible target areas and all that. So I will be discussing that. I'm giving you two topics to think. First, I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Okay, and second, I'm giving you, there is no truth, only perception. So in consonance with what is being taught and what is being asked, I'm giving you these two topics.